Chapter 1942. After saying those words, Han Dong didn't dare to stay here any longer. He knew that Jiang Chen didn't continue to attack him because of his family. If he stayed any longer, he might really die here. After all, the rule of the mountain valley was that conflicts couldn't be spread outside. If something happened to him, the patriarch would be in the wrong if he went to the Blazing Phoenix clan or the ancient Void Dragon clan to avenge him. Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but laugh as she watched them leave in disgrace. How interesting. I wonder when even venerated immortals and immortals can be so arrogant in front of me. After Han Dong and the others left, the other cultivators in the area of the Green Python Heavenly Snake clan didn't dare to stay any longer for fear that they would accidentally provoke Jiang Chen. Even an immortal monarch expert couldn't underestimate the attack he'd casually thrown out just now. Young Lord! Just as they were leaving, Ao Ting rushed in with his clansmen. He followed Jiang Chen all the way out of the mountain range, but Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyan were too fast. By the time they arrived, they were already gone. He hurried in because he sensed Jiang Chen's immortal power spreading. You're too late. Jiang Chen nodded slightly at them. Young Lord, did the Frost Lion clan attack you? Ao Ting looked at Jiang Chen. He was afraid that Jiang Chen would encounter some danger here. How strong is the Frost Lion clan? Bai Xiaoyan asked, knowing that Ao Ting was more familiar with the 6 Spirit Beast clans. White Immortal King. The Frost Lion clan is the strongest of the 6 Spirit Beast clans apart from the Blazing Phoenix clan. Their patriarch's cultivation is at the 6th level of the Immortal King realm. I heard that he's about to break through to the 7th level of the Immortal King realm. At that time, their patriarch's cultivation will be on par with the Blazing Phoenix clan's patriarch. Ao Ting thought for a moment and said, 6th level of the Immortal King realm? Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows. This level of cultivation was already considered to be the strongest in the immortal world. However, Jiang Chen was not afraid. That's right. So even though Han Dong and the others' cultivation isn't very high, almost no one in the entire southern region dares to provoke them. It's because Patriarch Han Shuang Tian's strength is too strong. Ao Ting nodded and replied, You guys can go outside. The White Immortal King and I have some things to do. Without us, you guys are not allowed to enter. Jiang Chen made a mental note of this person. He looked up at the courtyard in front of him and walked in. Young master, what if someone else comes in? Should we stop them? Ao Ting was just about to take people out when he suddenly thought of this. He quickly turned his head and asked, Others? Jiang Chen smiled and said, I think the others don't dare to come in anymore. Understood. Ao Ting also thought of the wave of energy that Jiang Chen had just swept out. Since all the experts' cultivations were suppressed to the 5th level of the immortal venerable realm, Jiang Chen was really invincible here. Ao Ting quickly left the room. Standing in the swamp, he saw quite a number of cultivators walking towards him. But there was no doubt that when they passed by the swamp, they would take a detour for fear of provoking the devils inside. TSK. Chou Tianji is an expert of the 8th level of the Immortal King realm. Why is his residence in the mountain valley so shabby? It looks even worse than our Heaven's Secret Pavilion. Walking into the courtyard, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but say after glancing around. It's most likely his residence before he became an expert. Jiang Chen was more familiar with this situation. During his 10 reincarnations, he had seen many experts living in shabby places. Perhaps at their cultivation level, they didn't care about external conditions anymore. As long as there was a place to shelter them from the wind and rain, they could rest. Let's go in and take a look. After walking around the courtyard for a while, Jiang Chen didn't see anything valuable and immediately walked in. But just as he stepped into the hall, he was suddenly repelled by a repulsive force. Plop! Jiang Chen flew directly to the entrance of the courtyard. Little junior brother. Bai Xiaoyan quickly turned around and helped Jiang Chen up. It seems that it's not so easy to enter. Jiang Chen scratched his head and frowned slightly. No wonder no one has been able to take away the treasures from the mountain valley for so many years. It turns out that it's blocked by these barriers. I'm afraid that even an ancient immortal king would find it difficult to break the barriers set up by an 8th level immortal king. Bai Xiaoyan sighed and said helplessly. Indeed, Jiang Chen didn't refute her words. Even though he had obtained an ancient immortal king, His current cultivation was still too weak. Moreover, he wasn't very familiar with formations and barriers. He was only limited to being able to use ancient formations and break formations that weren't much different from his own cultivation. This old thing is really deliberately making things difficult for us. We just freed him, but he ran directly to the lower realm to experience the 10 reincarnations. If it had been a little later, we would have been able to enter easily. Bai Xiaoyan crossed her arms and said with some dissatisfaction, "If he was still here, we wouldn't have to come here." Jiang Chen also said. Chou Tianji had left him with too many questions. Why did Black Sky Emperor choose to go to the Green Python Heavenly Snake clan after being severely injured by his mother and Emperor Qianji? Was it just a coincidence, or did the Green Python Heavenly Snake clan have something to do with his mother? Jiang Chen wanted to know the answer to this question. Little junior brother, since you have the purest bloodline power of the Flame Phoenix clan in your body, why don't you go to the Phoenix clan's area to take a look first? Maybe you can get some enlightenment from there. When you come back, you might be able to enter easily. Bai Xiaoyan walked around the courtyard twice, but didn't find anything. 10 days might not be enough. Jiang Chen also thought about this. However, the mountain valley was only open for less than 10 days. If he wasted too much time in the Phoenix clan, he might not have the chance to come here again. He also wouldn't be able to solve the mystery of why Black Sky Emperor chose the Green Python Heavenly Snake clan. If he waited for the next opening, 10,000 years would be too long. Think about what Chou Tianji said to you in the Water Realm's main hall. Did you get some way to break the boundary from his words? Bai Xiaoyan frowned and pondered. Nothing. Jiang Chen shook his head. Besides, he wouldn't have expected that he would come to the mountain valley. How could he predict the future? Sitting on a stone bench in the courtyard, Jiang Chen supported his cheek with one hand and stared at the boundary around the house, lost in thought. Bai Xiaoyan also understood very well and didn't say a word. She just quietly accompanied Jiang Chen. Chapter 1943. For the 6 hours passed. Jiang Chen still could not think of any solution. But he thought of someone. Jiang Chen stretched out his hand and formed a barrier in his palm. Then he stored a piece of information into it. Crack! Almost in an instant, the barrier around Jiang Chen collapsed. A pair of hands tore it apart and stepped out. Is that Bai Xinling so unreliable? I think you should just leave his sect. Usually, he doesn't even dare to tell us about his sect. It must be a broken sect. Why don't you stay with me in the enchantment? Gu Hu walked out of the space and scolded. Bai Xiaoyan was a little nervous when he came out. The person in front of her was an ancient immortal king. Bai Xiaoyan had seen him when she was following Bai Xinling. This person scolded her master the moment he appeared. It was very likely that he was here to cause trouble. Little junior brother, be careful. Bai Xiaoyan grabbed Jiang Chen. Be careful? Gu Hu looked at Bai Xiaoyan in astonishment. He felt that this young man was a little familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. But he was sure that he had not seen him before. Big senior brother, he's an ancient immortal king. Jiang Chen's face darkened. Hearing Jiang Chen's words, Bai Xiaoyan realized that Jiang Chen was not only her junior brother, but also the disciple of an ancient immortal king. After understanding this, she gradually relaxed. Where is he? Gu Hu ignored Bai Xiaoyan and walked out of the courtyard to look outside. Who is it? Jiang Chen pretended to be confused. Didn't you use a formation to send me a message saying that you were intercepted by an immortal king expert and asked me to come and help? Gu Hu blinked his eyes. Although he did not sense any immortal king's aura, he still did not let down his guard. That's right, but this is what I want you to help me with. Jiang Chen pointed at the house in the courtyard and said, What's that? Gu Hu looked at Jiang Chen in shock. He could already feel the ripples of the barrier from above. Aren't you known as the immortal king with the deepest attainments in formations and barriers in the entire immortal world? I want to go inside to look for something, but I'm blocked outside by a barrier. I called you over because I want you to break it. Jiang Chen shrugged and said honestly. Other than an ancient immortal king, he couldn't think of anyone more suitable than this person. Brat, you call me over just for this? Gu Hu pointed at the barrier and asked, If you don't want to, then go back. Jiang Chen clasped his hands behind his back as he spoke. The white-robed immortal king has always been persuading me to leave your tutelage as soon as possible. He even said that he would gift me a peak tier immortal art. Initially, I was still hesitating, but now it seems like I already have my answer. Don't! Hearing this, Guhua immediately panicked. Isn't it just a broken barrier? I'll break it for you. Swinging his sleeves, Guhua stepped forward and pressed his hand against the door. He sensed the flow of immortal energy within the barrier and closed his eyes. A moment later, Guhua gave the barrier a strong push. Under his palm, a gap was forcibly pushed out of the barrier. It's done. Guhua clapped his hands and went up to Jiangchen proudly. He said, when you see Bai Xianling again, ask him if he can break this barrier. This is a barrier set up by an 8th layer immortal emperor. Bai Xiaoyun's eyes widened. So what if he's an 8th layer immortal emperor? Even the barrier set up by Xianjun and Bai Xianling is nothing in front of me. Do you really think I'm an ancient immortal king for nothing? Guhua harumphed coldly, as if he was ashamed of Bai Xiaoyun for asking such a question. Thanks. Jiang Chun brought his fists together and said, Hey kid, wait a minute. Guhua rubbed his chin and said when he saw Jiang Chun about to enter the barrier. What's wrong, master? Jiang Chun still addressed him as master, since he had come so quickly and helped him to break the barrier. Well, even though I can break it, it can only last for 12 hours. It will return to normal after 12 hours, so you should come out as soon as possible. After all, he's an 8th layer immortal emperor too. The barrier he set up is quite impressive. Guhua scratched his head awkwardly. I shouldn't have complimented you. Jiangchen rolled his eyes. Just call me if you need anything. Guhua probably felt the atmosphere was too awkward, so he set up a barrier in the courtyard. The barrier slowly dissipated after he went inside. 12 hours should be enough, Jiang Chun said as he watched Guhua leave. It was better to be able to go inside than not. As the two entered the room, Jiang Chun vaguely felt something calling out to him from the room on the left. As if possessed, he walked in. When he raised his head, he saw a portrait of a woman. Senior brother, why don't you go out first? Jiang Chun said after a moment. Bai Xiaoyan didn't ask and walked out of the barrier. But she was still paying attention to the situation inside, fearing that Jiang Chun would be in danger. Standing in the room, Jiang Chun looked at the portrait hanging on the wall, which confirmed his guess. It wasn't unreasonable for Black Sky Emperor to attack Chou Tianji when he was injured. Jiang Chun took out his mother's portrait from his storage ring. He brought it out from the overseas immortal tomb. It was obviously older than the one hanging on the wall. I didn't expect that even the green python and sky snake were my subordinates. Jiang Chun carefully took out the portrait and put it into his storage ring. He couldn't help but sigh. Of course, he admired his father more. I don't only have the green python heavenly snake clan and the sky-devouring golden dragon clan as my subordinates. Even those sects in the immortal graveyard, including a half-step immortal emperor like Murong Changtian, are very respectful to me. Even Bai Xianling is still dreaming of meeting me. But his father managed to get the beauty with his immortal monarch strength. Jiang Chun couldn't help but give a thumbs up. If it was him, he might not be able to do it. Junior brother, what's the situation inside? Bai Xiaoyan asked worriedly when she heard no sound from inside. Nothing, Jiang Chun replied casually. After rummaging through the room, Jiang Chun saw a wooden plaque in a cabinet. There was a piece of paper under the wooden plaque. Jiang Chun kept the wooden plaque and carefully picked up the paper. Young master, I knew you would come here. This wooden plaque is my gift to you. It is also the key to finding your mother. I hope you can reunite with your mother soon. Jiang Chun read this line of words several times. Phew! Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Jiang Chun folded the paper and put it in his storage ring. Chapter 1944. What's the situation? Seeing that Jiang Chun was a little depressed, Bai Xiaoyan quickly asked. Nothing. Jiang Chun shook his head. He wasn't going to tell anyone about his mother, not even Bai Xiaoyan. Did you find what you were looking for? Bai Xiaoyan asked. Yes, but it's useless. Jiang Chun shook his head again. Turning around, he glanced inside and walked outside. Bai Xiaoyan followed behind. Out of the boundary, Ao Ting and the others immediately surrounded him. Young master, the three from the Ice Lion clan have left the mountain valley, but Han Dong's character is not good and may cause trouble in the future. Walking to the front of Jiang Chun, Ao Ting said, "If you want to, then go ahead." Jiang Chun didn't put this person in his eyes at all. Ao Ting still wanted to speak, but Jiang Chun and Bai Xiaoyan swept away in front of them. Watching Jiang Chun leave, the cultivators not far away also came over. Now that Han Dong and Jiang Chun had left one after another, there was no danger in the area of the green python heavenly snake. They could search for treasures without worry. 2 days passed. Jiang Chun arrived at the area of the bathing flame phoenix clan. There were still many cultivators gathered here. Feeling Jiang Chun's aura, they all scattered, fearing that they would get into trouble. It seems that your reputation has spread in the southern region. Seeing those cultivators far away, Bai Xiaoyan said, "Maybe." Jiang Chun had been thinking about the meaning of Chou Tianji's note and had no interest in those cultivators. Until now, he had already obtained 3 wooden tokens. Although these wooden tokens were left by his mother, Jiang Chun didn't get any valuable clues from them. Jiang Chun only knew that his mother was in an unknown territory. As for whether she was in the vast wilderness or not, he didn't know. But with his current cultivation, even if he knew, what could he do? Even Bai Xiaoyan couldn't find any trace of his mother in the unknown territory, so he couldn't do anything. The only good news, his understanding of Black Sky Emperor was becoming clearer and clearer. Jiang Chun pondered. Just as he was about to enter to see if the Flame Phoenix race's patriarch had left anything good behind, he sensed Long Dade's aura suddenly weaken. This is bad, Jiang Chun thought to himself. This aura, is Brother Dade in danger? Bai Xiaoyan also sensed that something was wrong. It's in the west. Jiang Chun raised his head and looked at the endless mountain range in the west. He didn't have time to say anything else and immediately rushed in that direction. Now, Long Dade was the only one among the few who had ascended to the immortal realm and was found by him. Jiang Chun did not want to see him in danger. Moreover, even if he was really killed in the valley, he would not be able to take revenge when he returned to the southern region. He had to abide by the enchantment jointly constructed by the ancestors of the 6 great spirit beasts. Jiang Chun's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from the territory of the Phoenix tribe. Even the cultivators in the boundary could not capture Jiang Chun's figure. Young Master is in trouble. Ao Ting, who was not far away, also sensed Jiang Chun. He immediately urged the immortal power in his body to follow. Tisk, he's even more respectful to Jiang Chun now than to Brother Ao Hung. He stretched out his hand. The 2 descendants of the ancient Dharma Void Dragon tribe looked at him disdainfully. However, they did not dare to do anything and hurriedly chased after him. In the mountain range in the west, Jiang Chun saw Long Dade. At this moment, Long Dade was sitting under a huge tree, leaning against the tree trunk and panting heavily. Dade! Seeing him like this, Jiang Chun hurriedly went forward and pressed his hand on his chest, injecting the bloodline power of the Golden Dragon tribe into his body. Who did this to you? Bai Xiaoyan also rushed over and scanned the area. There were no longer any cultivators around. I don't know. Long Dade shook his head weakly. Is this the territory of the ancient Dharma Void Dragon tribe? Jiang Chun asked when he sensed the familiar immortal power fluctuations in the surroundings. After I parted ways with you, I've been looking for the territory of the ancient Dharma Void Dragon tribe. I wanted to get a good weapon from there. I didn't expect to be ambushed as soon as I arrived here. I didn't even see the other party's identity clearly and ended up like this. Long Dade sighed deeply. If Jiang Chun had not rushed over in time, he thought he would have died here today. You haven't offended anyone in the immortal realm, Jiang Chun said after a moment with a frown. That means the other party is most likely targeting me. Do you have any enemies in the southern region? Bai Xiaoyan asked curiously. It's impossible for the ancient Dharma Void Dragon tribe and the Blazing Phoenix tribe. The Azure Python Heavenly Snake tribe even wants to enter the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. Other than them, we don't seem to have any contact with other tribes. Eldest senior brother, have you forgotten what happened 2 days ago? Jiang Chun suddenly relaxed his frown and said, You mean the Frost Lion tribe? Looking at Jiang Chun's expression, Bai Xiaoyan suddenly understood. Other than them, I don't think anyone else would dare to attack my people in the mountain valley. Sensing that Long Dade's injuries were serious, Jiang Chen took out the last remaining pill from his storage ring and stuffed it into his mouth. After the pill took effect, Long Dade's complexion improved rapidly. Didn't Ao Heng's subordinates say that they have already left? Bai Xiaoyan did not understand the situation. After his cultivation was suppressed to the 5th level of the immortal reverent realm, his perception was not as good as before. It was even worse than Jiang Chen's. Ao Ting. They might have left, but they might have returned. Can you still hold on? Jiang Chen asked as he helped Long Dade up. I've recovered a little. Sensing that the elixir was healing his injuries, Long Dade struggled to stand up and patted the dirt off his body. Since we're here, let's go in and take a look. As for the Frost Lion tribe, we have to make them pay a price. Jiang Chen's lips curled into a cold smile. Whether it was in the immortal world or the lower realm, no matter who hurt the people around him, Jiang Chen would make them pay the price in blood. This was despite the fact that the Frost Lion tribe's leader was in the 6th level of the Immortal King realm. The grudges in the mountain valley cannot be brought to the outside world. Let's not offend another clan because of me. Long Dade clutched his chest, which was still hurting. Didn't you want to find a suitable weapon? Let's go in and take a look. Jiang Chen pointed at the palace in the middle of the mountain and said, What about you guys? Long Dade nodded and asked, We'll wait for you outside. Jiang Chen said casually. However, while he was speaking, he had already spread out his perception. Chapter 1945. In the mountain range 10 miles away, he clearly sensed Han Dong and the others. As soon as Long Dade stepped in, Jiang Chen and Han Dong disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already in front of them. Han Dong and the others were searching for treasures in the mountain range with other ordinary cultivators. As they had offended Jiang Chen in the territory of the Green Python Heavenly Snake clan, they did not dare to go to the territory of the 6 great spirit beasts for fear of encountering this plague again. Therefore, they could create the illusion that they had left the mountain valley. After severely injuring Long Dade, they hid their aura and stayed in the mountain valley. In this way, even if Jiang Chen could guess that he was the one who did it, he would never be able to find where they were. After leaving the mountain valley, even if Jiang Chen took the initiative to seek revenge, he would have the protection of his clan. Moreover, the grudges in the mountain valley could not be brought out. Jiang Chen could only swallow this grievance. Han Dong thought that his plan was very thorough. However, he did not expect that Jiang Chen could find him. Jiang Chen? Looking at the 2 people who suddenly appeared in front of him, Han Dong was shocked. You haven't left the mountain valley yet? Sensing the slight fluctuation of their aura, Jiang Chen could be sure that Long Dade was injured because of these people in front of him. What a joke. When we leave the mountain valley, seems to have nothing to do with you too, right? The mark on Han Dong's forehead gradually became clearer. He was ready to fight Jiang Chen at any time. It does have nothing to do with us. But you hurt my friend. How should I deal with this matter? Jiang Chen looked at the many cultivators around him and asked directly, What are you talking about? We have been here all along and never left. How could we hurt your friend's family? Don't slander us. Tell me, have I ever left? Han Dong asked loudly at the top of his voice. The surrounding cultivators did not dare to resist him and could only nod in agreement. Did you see that, Jiang Chen? Hearing their words, Han Dong smiled at Jiang Chen and said, Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because you have the support of the Phoenix clan and the Ancient Dragon clan. Hurry up and get out of my sight. Otherwise, my Frost Lion clan will never let you off the hook. The grudges within the Valley of Mountains cannot be brought outside, Bai Xiaoyan said with a slight frown. That's only for ordinary cultivators. I am the young clan leader of the Frost Lion clan. If you dare to harm a single hair on my head, do you think the clan leader will let you go? Thinking of the patriarch, Han Dong regained his confidence. He guessed that even if Jiang Chen had a good relationship with the Flame Bath Phoenix race and the ancient Dharma Void Dragon race, these 2 races would not completely break off their relationship with the Frost Lion race because of a mere Jiang Chen. I see. Jiang Chen understood what he meant. Young clan leader asked you to leave, so you better get out of here quickly. Otherwise, once we leave the valley, we'll definitely teach you a lesson. The 2 clansmen behind Han Dong also scolded at the same time. These 2 are so arrogant. Bai Xiaoyan frowned slightly. This was the first time that cultivators below the Immortal King realm had acted pretentiously in front of him. If Jiang Chun was not here, and if the Valley of Mountains had not suppressed most of his cultivation, he would have rushed up and beaten the three of them into submission. Eldest senior brother, if I kill him, do you think the Flame Bath Phoenix race and the ancient Dharma Void Dragon race will protect me? Jiang Chun stared at Han Dong and asked faintly. They should. They are willing to fight with Immortal King Xian Jun for you. A mere Frost Lion race's Han Shuang Tian, with a cultivation of the 6th level of the Immortal King realm, is indeed not enough. Bai Xiaoyan rubbed his chin and pretended to think for a while before he said, Impossible. Han Dong's heart trembled. Immortal King Xian Jun was one of the 3 Immortal Kings. The Jade Sword sect under him was one of the strongest immortal sects in the entire immortal world. It was said that he himself was a half-step immortal emperor. Although Huoxian and Ao Zhan's cultivation wasn't low, they weren't on the same level in front of Immortal King Xianjun. How could these 2 spirit beast races risk being exterminated and fight with Immortal King Xianjun for Jiangchun? Han Dong recalled Xianjun's visit to the clan a few dozen days ago, when he felt the terrifying aura radiating from Xianjun, as well as the bearing of a superior. Han Dong couldn't help but want to bow his head and submit. Are we really going to kill him? Bai Xiaoyan was ready to make a move, just severely injure him. The patriarch of the Frost Lion race's cultivation isn't bad. There's no need to offend such an expert because of this person. Besides, that's all. Jiang Chun waved his hand before he could finish his sentence. He was worried about whether the Frost Lion race had anything to do with his mother. Of the 3 spirit beast races he knew, the Azure Python Heavenly Snake race was his mother's subordinate, and the Sky-Devouring Golden Dragon race had been exterminated because of her. The Frost Lion race in front of him. Perhaps they were once his mother's subordinates. Jiangchen couldn't help but feel how insignificant he was. Based on the current situation, a third of the southern region belonged to his mother. Jiangchun, if you don't dare to hurt me, then leave immediately. When he saw Jiang Chun standing there without moving, Han Dong felt more confident. He shouted at Jiang Chun, for the remaining 8 days, I won't provoke you, and you can't hurt me. How about that? Are you negotiating with me? Jiang Chun suddenly asked with a cold laugh. What else? Han Dong crossed his arms in front of his chest. Out of respect for the patriarch of the Frost Sky race, I can spare your life, but... Before Jiang Chun could finish his sentence, a chill spread from his body. The chill swept through the area. Many cultivators with slightly weaker strength sensed that the smooth flow of immortal power in their bodies had suddenly become blocked. This aura has Han Dong broken through to the Immortal Duke realm? The young patriarch is really patient. I'm afraid he has the strongest cultivation base among the younger generation, among the hundreds of spirit beast races in the southern region. Sensing the chill, the cultivators thought it was Han Dong's immortal technique. But soon, they realized something was wrong. Although it was immortal power of the ice attribute, it didn't come from Han Dong. They looked up at Jiang Chun, who was standing in front of Han Dong, with shock in their eyes. He's an immortal duke? Impossible. He's only at the 5th level immortal realm. But this immortal power fluctuation should only be possessed by someone above the immortal duke realm. Instantly, an uproar broke out. Even the cultivators who were outside of the mountain range were gathering in this direction. They wanted to see what was going on. However, compared to their shock, Han Dong was thoroughly enraged. Due to the special bloodline of the Frost Lion race, he wasn't affected by the extreme ice domain, but he felt a trace of familiarity from the immortal technique. Chapter 1946. Jiangchun. How dare you steal our Ice Lion clan's top-secret celestial skill? Han Dong became confident instantly. He pointed at Jiang Chun and scolded him loudly. What? I was wondering why this celestial skill felt so familiar. So he stole it from the Ice Lion clan. Tis TSK. Stealing celestial skills is a big taboo. Even if Jiang Chun has the support of the Blazing Phoenix clan and the Ancient Void Dragon clan, he's too unreasonable. If Patriarch Huoxian and Patriarch Ao Zhan insist, I'm afraid the southern region will be angered. I thought he was talented. So he stole someone else's celestial skill. Brother, it's one thing to be talented and another to steal it. Even if the Ice Lion clan's top celestial skill was given to you, you wouldn't be qualified to learn it given your stupidity. In an instant, the entire mountain range was in an uproar. Some people were criticizing Jiang Chun, while others were defending Jiang Chun. Of course, most of them wanted to watch the show. They loved to see the farce between the 6 great spirit beast clans. If one of the clans was unfortunately annihilated in the conflict, their clan would be qualified to join the 6 great spirit beast clans. Is that Jiang Chun? Among the crowd, a few strong cultivators stared at Jiang Chun. They were the best of the Celestial Ape clan. It's said that Little Ape is following him. Should we help? Asked a skinny cultivator, whose cultivation was only at the 2nd layer of the divine immortal realm. It's a taboo to learn immortal methods in secret. Let's not get involved in this matter. Let them solve it by themselves. If Jiang Chun's character is questionable, call Little Ape back to the family. Don't follow this guy anymore, the person in front of them said in a low voice. After he finished speaking, the others closed their mouths and said nothing. You said this celestial skill belongs to the Ice Lion clan? Jiang Chun withdrew his immortal power and asked in a low voice. That's right. This celestial art is one of the secret celestial arts of the Frost Lion clan. Only the clan leader and the elders of the clan are qualified to practice it. Even I don't have a chance to touch it. Now that you can use it, how dare you say you didn't steal it? Han Dong sneered at Jiang Chun. He was originally worried that Jiang Chun would make a move on him and was thinking of a way to escape from here. But now, he was no longer worried. If Jiang Chun really dared to make a move on him, it would mean that he had a guilty conscience. Even the Blazing Phoenix tribe and the ancient Magic Void Dragon tribe would be affected to a certain extent. You secretly learned it? Bai Xiaoyan was also a little worried. I stole it, but not from the Frost Lion clan, Jiang Chun said honestly. Jiang Chun, leave the valley with me and go to the family to meet the patriarch. You have to make things clear. Otherwise, I'll send a message back to the family and have the patriarch come to see you personally. What do you think? Han Dong pointed at Jiang Chun and said loudly, Look, this is the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect, Jiang Chun. He actually secretly learned the top celestial skill of our Frost Lion clan. Han Jing and Han Yi also understood Han Dong's intention. They turned around and said to the cultivators who had surrounded them. Jiang Chun frowned slightly and did not refute. He knew that Han Dong would not deliberately humiliate him in front of so many cultivators. There was only one possibility left. There might be some relationship between Han Bing Wang and the Frost Lion clan. Okay, I'll go with you. Jiang Chun was not a person who was afraid of trouble. He also did not want to cast a shadow over the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect because of him. As for what was going on, he would know after he went there. Be careful of their tricks. Jiang Chun was a little worried. It's okay. Eldest senior brother, you take care of Long Date in the valley. Don't let anything happen to him. I'll go with them. Jiang Chun smiled and said, No, you've already formed a grudge with Han Dong. If they attack you in the Frost Lion clan, can you deal with it? That's the patriarch of the 6th layer of the Immortal King realm. Bai Xiaoyan was a little worried. Now that her master was in seclusion in the pavilion, who knew if she could come when Jiang Chun was in danger? Gu Huo was also one of the 3 immortal kings and Jiang Chun's master. But Bai Xiaoyan did not know him very well and could not completely trust him. It doesn't matter, even if it's just for the sake of Huoxian and Ao Zhan. Han Zhuang Tian won't dare to attack me rashly, Jiang Chun said in a low voice as he looked at Han Dong's complacent look. Jiang Chun's firm attitude made Bai Xiaoyan unable to say anything. At the thought of how Jiang Chun had managed to escape from danger, he agreed. Jiang Chun, do you want the patriarch to personally invite you? Seeing that Jiang Chun did not speak, Han Dong asked again. Then let's go. Jiang Chun shrugged and replied in a relaxed tone. Under everyone's gaze, Jiang Chun followed Han Dong and the other 2 out of the mountain valley. The Frost Lion clan was located in a remote area of the southern region. Like the snow region where Love Despair Valley was located, it was frozen all year round and swept by snowstorms. Besides the Frost Lion clan and a few Spirit Beast clans that cultivated ice, almost no one else came near. After a few hours, Jiang Chun followed them to the Frost Lion clan. This was a sect that was completely built on floating ice. The entire sect was almost covered by snowstorms. If one did not look carefully, they would definitely think that this was a snow mountain. Standing in the snow, Han Dong did not take Jiang Chun seriously. Jiang Chun, I advise you to think about how to explain your immortal technique when you see the Patriarch. Our Frost Lion clan takes stealing techniques very seriously. Even if Wuxian and Ao Zhan protect you, you won't be able to escape punishment. Hearing Han Dong's incessant chatter, Jiang Chen's ears were about to grow calluses. Han Dong had repeated this at least a dozen times since he'd first used the extreme ice domain and was now standing in front of the Frost Lion clan's gates. Jiang Chen sighed. He didn't pay any attention to him. He just walked into the sect. The members of the Frost Lion clan were all very curious about this unfamiliar cultivator. After living in the clan for so many years, they had rarely seen a stranger come in. Go and report to the Patriarch that this person sneakily attacked our Frost Lion clan's top immortal technique. I discovered him in the mountain valley and captured him. Han Dong pointed at a member of the clan next to him and said, "Young Patriarch, that's not possible." The clan member did not immediately leave. Instead, he asked very honestly, "Not many people from our Frost Lion clan come here to begin with. The top immortal technique is stored in the barrier of the techniques pavilion. Even you, young Patriarch, were unable to break it. How could an outsider like him do it?" "That's right, young Patriarch. If he really secretly learned it, would he dare to use it in front of you?" Several clan members looked at Jiang Chen carefully and stepped forward to voice their opinions. Chapter 1947. If I tell you to go, then go. What are you waiting for? Han Dong's face darkened as he scolded in a low voice. Hearing this, Jiang Chen couldn't help but laugh. He didn't expect the clansmen of the Ice Lion tribe to be so frank and even reveal Han Dong's background. "Young Patriarch, it seems that it wasn't me who stole the celestial skill, but you." "Bullshit, I didn't learn it," Han Dong shouted in a low voice. "Then you wanted to steal it, but you didn't steal it." Jiang Chun laughed disdainfully. "Even you, the young Patriarch, aren't qualified to take it. How could I, an outsider, take it away from the Magic Arts Pavilion, which is strictly guarded and protected by the bounded domain? Then where did you get the celestial skill from?" Feeling Jiang Chen's ridicule, Han Dong couldn't accept it. If it weren't for the fact that his cultivation was far inferior to Jiang Chen's, he would have struck him with his palm. "It has nothing to do with you." Jiang Chen shrugged and said, "Now you're stubborn. When you see the sect leader, you have to tell the truth. Otherwise, I'll take your life." Han Dong knew that if he continued to talk to Jiang Chun, sooner or later, he would be speechless because of Jiang Chun. After being reprimanded by Han Dong, the clansmen quickly went to the main hall and reported the situation. Knowing that the celestial skill of the sect had been leaked, Han Shuangtian immediately rushed out and looked at Jiang Chun with his beastly eyes. Junior Jiang Chun greets the Patriarch of the Ice Lion tribe. Jiang Chun cupped his hands and said, "After all, the person in front of him was an expert of the 6th-tier Immortal King realm. He had to give him enough face." "You're Jiang Chun, the one who stirred up a storm in the southern region?" Han Shuangtian stared at Jiang Chun and said. Although he had never seen this young man in front of him, he had heard some things about him. "Not really." Jiang Chun smiled and said, "Since you've come to the Frost Lion clan, you are our guest. Please come in." Han Shuangtian stared at Jiang Chun for a while. With his cultivation, he could naturally see that Jiang Chun had ice attribute celestial power in his body. What surprised him even more was that other than the ice attribute that he was familiar with, there seemed to be other attributes in this person's body. However, when he tried to sense it, Jiang Chen's body seemed to be shrouded by something, making it impossible for him to get an accurate answer. "Patriarch, he's the one who stole our family's top celestial skill. We have to make him tell us where he came from. Otherwise, the entire southern region will laugh at us." Seeing that the Patriarch was so polite to Jiang Chun, Han Dong suddenly became impatient and shouted, "How dare you? Am I the patriarch, or are you the patriarch? Since when do you have the right to tell me what to do? Han Shuangtian turned around and shouted. Under this kind of pressure, Han Dong quickly shut his mouth. Little friend Jiang Chun, please come in and have a seat. Turning around, Han Shuangtian smiled at Jiang Chun and said. Sitting in the main hall, Han Shuangtian stared at Jiang Chun for a while and said, I can sense that you have ice attribute celestial power in your body. Why don't you join our Frost Lion clan? I'll provide you with the best cultivation resources and the top ice attribute celestial skill in our clan. What do you think? Jiang Chun was a little surprised. He did not know why Han Shuangtian was so nice to him. Patriarch Han, your young patriarch said that I stole your family's celestial skill and brought me back to tell you the truth. Moreover, I'm now the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect. I won't join your Frost Lion clan. Jiang Chun looked at him and said in a low voice, Let me see your celestial skill. Han Shuangtian was going to talk to Jiang Chun before mentioning this matter. However, now that Jiang Chun had taken the initiative to mention it, he could not change the topic. I seal, Jiang Chun said faintly. After the seal was formed, an invisible chill spread out instantly. Feeling this familiar feeling, Han Shuangtian said, This is indeed our Frost Lion clan celestial skill. Jiang Chun, the patriarch has already confirmed it. What else do you have to explain? You're not even a member of our clan, yet you stole our Frost Lion clan's celestial skill. If we don't kill you, then what dignity does our clan have? After Han Shuangtian admitted it, Han Dong immediately rushed in from outside. He knew that he might be scolded by the patriarch. However, when he thought of how Jiang Chun beat them up in front of so many people in the valley, his hatred for Jiang Chun rose to the peak. He could not wait to ask the patriarch to kill Jiang Chun. Han Dong, if you dare to do this again, do you believe that I won't lock you up for 100 years? Han Shuangtian took a deep breath and asked in a deep voice. This person injured me in the valley and wanted to seriously injure me in front of hundreds of cultivators. Now he even stole our celestial skill. Patriarch, why don't you do it? Han Dong gritted his teeth and asked, Oh, you want to seriously injure him? Han Shuangtian turned to look at Jiang Chun. Han Dong was the young patriarch of their Frost Lion clan. Almost 1/3 of the clan's cultivation resources were used on him. If he was seriously injured, then it would be a great loss to their clan. That's right. Jiang Chun did not hide it and directly admitted, but everything has a cause and effect. If young patriarch did not seriously injure my friend, then I would not find trouble with him. Young patriarch in front of the patriarch of Han Shuangtian. Do you think this is the truth? Jiang Chun knew Han Dong could lie to Jiang Chun, but he did not dare to lie to Han Shuangtian. However, he could not admit it. If he did, then he would be in the wrong. Still not going down? Han Shuangtian glared at him. Unable to gain any benefits, Han Dong could only leave with his tail between his legs. However, when he went back, he did stare fiercely at Jiang Chun. He could not understand why the patriarch would treat Jiang Chun like this. Little friend, can you tell me how you obtained our Frost Lion clan's celestial skill? After Han Dong left, Han Shuangtian asked. It's a coincidence. Jiang Chun remembered that the ice soul-chilling pearl was a secret treasure of the Love Valley. So he asked, I wonder if Patriarch Han knows about the northern region's Han Bing Wang? Han Bing Wang? Ah, you actually asked me if I know Han Bing Wang? Han Shuangtian was stunned. Then he laughed and said, Han Bing is my younger brother. Unfortunately, he died a long time ago. So Han Bing Wang and Patriarch Han are related by blood. Jiang Chun said in surprise. That's right. No wonder you could obtain our Frost Lion clan's celestial skill. It turns out that you obtained my younger brother's inheritance. No matter what, you have to join our Frost Lion clan. Han Shuangtian stroked the white beard on his chin. Chapter 1948. Jiang Chun didn't expect that he still wanted to accept him as a disciple. Patriarch Han, I can't become a disciple of your Frost Lion clan. Jiang Chun had no choice but to say firmly, and I didn't get the inheritance of Han Bing King. Oh, then how did you get the immortal arts of my Frost Lion clan? Han Shuangtian asked. It's Sect Master Wang Min of the Love Valley. She got the inheritance of Han being king. Now that the sect has joined my 10,000 creations immortal sect, these immortal arts were naturally handed over to me. I took a look out of curiosity and didn't expect to comprehend it directly. Jiangchen smiled awkwardly and said, "So that's how it is. Then I won't force you to stay." Han Xuantian was obviously a little disappointed. He heard a lot about Jiangchen. Even the fire-bathing Phoenix clan and the ancient dragon clan of Dharma Void Realm wanted to befriend Jiangchen. So, Ao Zhan naturally wanted to get close to him. He wanted to see what kind of talent and strength Jiangchen had that Huaxian and Ao Zhan liked him so much. "Patriarch Han, if there's nothing else, I'll return to the mountain valley first." Jiangchen got up and cupped his hands, preparing to leave. There were still 7 days left. Although there was nothing in the mountain valley that could attract him, he might still be able to find some treasures if he looked around. "Wait, little friend Jiangchen, I heard that you have now established the 10,000 Creations Immortal Sect." Seeing that Jiangchen was about to leave, Han Xuantian hurriedly said, "That's right." Jiangchen nodded. "When your father was still alive, our two forces didn't have much interaction. Now that you have made the immortal sect reappear in the immortal world, I think our relationship can be closer in the future. This way, if we encounter any danger, we can help each other." Han Xuantian rubbed his hands. He didn't look like a sixth-layer immortal king at all. "Patriarch Han must be joking. With your strength of the sixth-layer immortal king, I'm afraid no one in the entire immortal world would dare to provoke you. Why would you need the help of our 10,000 creations immortal sect? But since I've cultivated your clan's immortal arts, I naturally won't be your enemy. If I can help in the future, I'll try my best to help," Jiangchen said with a smile. "Then take care, little friend Jiangchen. I hope you can find the treasure you desire in the valley." Han Xuantian took out a fingernail-sized stone from his storage ring and handed it to Jiangchen. "This is the key to our Frost Lion clan. With it, you can enter the Frost Lion clan's territory." "There's a key?" Jiangchen was a little shocked. If what Han Xuantian said was true, then when the mountain valley opened, the members of the 6 great spiritual beasts could directly enter their respective regions. As long as our Frost Lion clan has it. As for the details, I can't tell you. Han Xuantian shook his head and said, "Thank you, Patriarch Han. In the future, my 10,000 mounts immortal sect will owe you a favor." Jiangchen didn't refuse. Inside the valley, there were things left behind by the ancestors of the 6 great spirit beasts. There must be a lot of treasures hidden inside. It would be best if he could get it. As for favors, it was the heaviest thing in the immortal world. But to put it lightly, as long as he was thick-skinned, it would be useless. At that time, he could renege on the debt. "I'll let the clansmen send you out." Han Xuantian gave a look to the clansmen standing at the door. All of this, Han Dong saw everything. He didn't understand why the Patriarch would treat Jiangchen like this. "Patriarch!" Han Dong couldn't help but enter the main hall for the second time. This time, Jiangchen had already left, so Han Xuantian didn't stop him. Han Xuantian looked up at him and asked, "You're not going back to the mountain valley?" "Jiangchen has already gone back. I'm worried that he will attack me inside." Han Dong gritted his teeth and said, "Patriarch, why do you treat him like this? I've entered the mountain valley 10 times, but you never gave it to me." "Next time I can give it to you," Han Xuantian said casually. "Next time, all the good things will be taken away by Jiangchen. Even if I go in, what can I do?" Han Dong gritted his teeth and clenched his fists in his sleeves. "No matter what, you're still the young Patriarch. Don't be impulsive and don't be reckless. You have to consider the interests of the entire clan." Han Xuantian sighed. He pointed to the seat next to him and motioned for Han Dong to sit down. He continued, "You're so reckless. I have to consider whether to hand over the clan to someone else." "Why?" Han Dong's pupil shrank. "You know that Jiangchen is the young master of the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, right?" Han Xuantian asked. "I know, but the 10,000 Mounts Immortal Monarch was suppressed in the Kunlun Immortal Mountain, and the Immortal sect no longer exists. Even if Jiangchen re-establishes it, it's still a low-level sect in the immortal world." Han Dong nodded. He still knew this news. "Childish. Ridiculous. According to the news I learned, the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect has now absorbed a large number of clans and forces in the immortal world. They have a good relationship with the Tianji Pavilion, the Immortal Mountain Overseas, the Ganges Bank, and the Heaven and Earth Pharmacy. He's even the new elder of the Bathing Flame Phoenix clan. Even the ancient Dharma Dragon clan respects him very much. Do you think he's just a newcomer who has just ascended to the immortal world? Han Xuantian shook his head and smiled. He told him all he knew about Jiang Chun. What? The more Han Dong listened, the more stunned he became. He had only heard about Jiang Chun, and he had also learned something about him. But he was far from being as detailed as the patriarch. So, Jiang Chun can't be offended. We even have to be on good terms with him. Otherwise, once we stand on the opposite side of him, even I may not be his opponent. Han Xuantian took a deep breath and said, Then Han Dong recalled the patriarch's words, and cold sweat flowed down his back. But fear was fear, and he still wanted to kill Jiang Chun. Not for anything else, because he had always been able to get whatever he wanted in the Southern Domain. Everyone gave him face for the sake of the Frost Lion clan and Han Xuantian. But now Jiang Chun suddenly appeared and gave him a solid slap in the face. Moreover, it was in front of so many people, making him lose face. You and him becoming enemies is the worst thing you've ever done in your life. Han Xuantian looked at Han Dong with disappointment in his eyes. He couldn't feel it before, but now that he encountered a big matter, he realized that something was wrong. Patriarch, I know I was wrong. I will definitely not provoke Jiang Chun again in the future. Seeing that Han Xuantian had the intention to abolish his young patriarch status, Han Dong quickly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. You go and rest first. If you want to go to the mountain valley, then go. If you don't want to go, then go. As for Jiang Chun, if you want to take revenge, don't bring your clan with you. Han Xuantian waved his hand at him. He understood Han Dong's character of seeking revenge for the smallest grievance. Chapter 1949. Even though he was shocked by Jiang Chun's strength and took the initiative to admit his mistake. But he knew that this was all based on the premise that he wanted to keep his position as the young master. In fact, he still hated Jiang Chun in his heart. I understand, Patriarch. Han Dong gritted his teeth and retreated out of the hall. On the other side, Jiang Chun did not stop and rushed back into the valley. When he appeared in the valley, all the cultivators were shocked. What was going on? This brat secretly learned the Ice Lion clan's immortal technique, and he could still come back? Could it be that he killed Han Dong halfway? Impossible. Han Dong is the young master of the Ice Lion clan. How could he dare to kill him? I think it's impossible. Han Xuantian would definitely know that Han Dong was killed. He would not let him come back. Then I don't know what happened. Those cultivators had been staring at Jiang Chun all along, and they all started discussing him. Jiang Chun ignored them when he heard their chattering. Instead, he dashed into the mountains. Everyone's gazes followed Jiang Chun's figure, and they kept guessing what had happened. Eldest senior brother, Jiang Chun landed on the ground when he saw the white figure. Did the Ice Lion clan make things difficult for you? Bai Xiaoyan quickly got up and held Jiang Chun's shoulders with both hands as she sized him up. No, it's probably because of Clan Master Hu Xian and Clan Master Ao Zhan. But I didn't expect that King Han Bing was Han Xuantian's younger brother. Jiang Chun shook his head and looked at the palace in the mountain range. Oh, there is such a relationship. Bai Xiaoyan raised her eyebrows. But thinking about it, it's not a problem. Jiang Chun sensed for a moment and changed the topic. Has Bait not come out yet? No. He has gone in for an entire day, and there is still no news. Bai Xiaoyan shook her head and said, but other than him, there are other cultivators who have gone in. These people are around Sky Immortal or Divine Immortal. They are not his match. Then I am relieved. Eldest senior brother, let's go take a look at other places. Jiang Chun nodded and said, Bathed in Fire Phoenix race? Bai Xiaoyan tidied her robes. No, it's the Frost Lion clan. Jiang Chun told him the truth. Han Xuantian gave me a key, saying that I can pass through the barrier of their Frost Lion clan's ancestor. Could it be a trap? Bai Xiaoyan didn't believe it. If there really was a key, then Hu Xian would have already taken it out and given it to Jiang Chun. There was no need to wait until now. Moreover, Jiang Chun had just had a conflict with Han Dong. If he dares to attack me, isn't he afraid that Patriarch Huixian and Patriarch Ao Zhan will cause trouble for him? Jiang Chun said with a smile, but let's go and see what's going on first. I hope we can get something good from there, so that we won't have come here for nothing. That makes sense. Bai Xiaoyan pondered for a while and wasn't so worried anymore. Under the gaze of a group of cultivators, Jiang Chun and Bai Xiaoyan rushed into the depths of the barrier. The place where the ice lions lived was almost the deepest part of the valley. Even with Jiang Chun and Bai Xiaoyan's speed, it took them several hours to reach there. Then they felt the temperature in the world drop. At the end of their line of sight, they could vaguely see a large white hall. It was even grander than the current Frost Lion clan. TSK, seeing the scene in front of them, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but say, compared to the Frost Lion clan, Chou Tianji's place is simply unsightly. It's just like the Mystery Pavilion compared to the Jade Sword sect. Jiang Chen couldn't help but ridicule. Before going to the Jade Sword sect, Jiang Chen felt that the Mystery Pavilion was alright. Although the sect was a little poor, it didn't matter. But when he saw the Jade Sword sect, the Mystery Pavilion was like a sect that had declined for tens of thousands of years. Cough, cough, don't say that. You are now the pavilion master of the Mystery Pavilion. Bai Xiaoyan coughed twice. As they spoke, Jiang Chun and Bai Xiaoyan approached the large hall. Under the snowstorm, even though Jiang Chun had ice-type immortal energy in his body, he still felt cold. Even the immortal energy and blood in his body were faintly about to be frozen. As expected of the ancestor, even the sect of the Mountain Valley has such a strong aura. If he was still alive, he would definitely be an expert. Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but tug at her white robe and say, to be able to make his clan one of the 6 great Spirit Beast clans and stand out from hundreds of other Spirit Beast clans, he would definitely be an expert of this world. I'm afraid he would only be weaker than an immortal emperor and be on par with the current 3 immortal kings. Jiang Chen also exclaimed in admiration, let's go and see what good things there are in this sect. Standing at the entrance of the sect, Bai Xiaoyan felt the barrier that enveloped the entire hall. Hopefully, we can get something good from inside. Jiang Chun took a deep breath, then took out the stone from his storage ring and pressed it against the barrier. Soon, ripples spread out and the barrier gradually weakened. It's actually real. Bai Xiaoyan's eyes became fiery. In all these years, no one had entered the territory of the Frost Lion clan's ancestor. What did this mean? It meant that all the treasures inside were inside, and none of them had been taken away by others. Slap! Thinking of this, Bai Xiaoyan slapped her forehead. Eldest senior brother? Jiang Chun was just about to enter. How many storage rings did you bring? Bai Xiaoyan was a little regretful. If she knew this, she would have brought out all the rich storage rings in the pavilion. Jiang Chun also sighed secretly. But soon he felt relieved. As long as he could bring out the treasures inside, it didn't matter if he got the other things or not. Moreover, he came in with the key. If that Froste was interested and wanted to take a look inside, if she saw that he had cleaned out everything inside, she would probably mobilize the entire clan to find trouble with him. Jiang Chun wouldn't make such a strong enemy for himself. The barrier loosened, and Jiang Chun immediately entered. Just as he passed through the barrier, snowflakes that were as sharp as blades blew over. Caught off guard, Jiang Chun's robe was cut several times. Jiang Chun hurriedly used his immortal energy to protect himself. If I'm not strong enough, even if I can enter the barrier, I'll die here. Bai Xiaoyan still had some lingering fear. She was only an immortal reverend now, so she had to be careful at all times. Let's go. Jiang Chun looked at the hall in front of him. Under the protection of immortal energy, although she wasn't injured, her speed was still slowed down a little. The two entered the hall with difficulty. Just as they steadied themselves, Jiang Chun frowned slightly. He felt the presence of immortal energy inside. The mountain valley had existed for at least hundreds of thousands of years. It wasn't possible that someone had stayed inside since ancient times. Chapter 1950. Bai Xiaoyan also sensed that something was amiss. Could it be that someone was one step ahead of us and entered this place? From time to time, immortal energy fluctuations would spread out, causing Bai Xiaoyun to be vigilant. I don't know. Let's go take a look. Jiang Chun shook his head and walked towards the direction of the fluctuation. The fluctuation was very strange. Although it was indeed caused by immortal energy, Jiang Chun couldn't sense the other party's cultivation and strength. He couldn't even tell what attribute it was. The more it was like this, the more Jiang Chun took it seriously. It was very likely that the other party was a very powerful rogue cultivator. Passing through the hall, Jiang Chun ignored everything inside and arrived at a wooden door. It's right outside. Feeling the fluctuation getting stronger, Bai Xiaoyun pointed at the door and said, "Crack." Jiang Chun didn't say anything and pushed it open with both hands. The moment he pushed it open, he and Bai Xiaoyun were ready to fight. But the one in the courtyard wasn't a cultivator. A wooden sword? Looking at the situation outside, Bai Xiaoyun's expression became complicated. In the courtyard, a wooden sword was stabbed into the ground. The whole sword was dark red. The sword was very clean, with only very faint wood patterns. There weren't even any runes or markings. But on the sword hilt, there was a wooden bead. Why does a wooden sword have immortal energy fluctuation? Jiang Chun was a little surprised. He stepped forward and was about to pull it out to see what was going on. But when he got close, the wooden sword suddenly loosened. Then, it stabbed towards Jiang Chun. Does it have self-awareness? Jiang Chun's lips curled into a faint smile. He stepped forward, and a 9-colored sword appeared in his hand. He swung it forward. The two swords violently collided. The huge force produced made Jiang Chun take 2 steps back before he could dissipate the force. Little junior brother, it seems that this sword isn't ordinary. If you have the chance to subdue it, it can become your weapon. Bai Xiaoyun took 2 steps back and stood at the door. I already have the sky-piercing spear. Jiang Chun frowned slightly. However, the wooden sword seemed to understand Jiang Chun's words. Once again, he launched an attack on Jiang Chun. The fierce snowstorm was enveloped by his sword energy and transformed into his own energy. Interesting. Seeing such a wooden sword, Jiang Chun's interest was piqued. Raising his sword, Jiang Chun once again engaged in battle with it. The resulting fluctuations were firmly restrained by the barrier of the main hall and could not be transmitted to the outside. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Jiang Chun found the right place. While the wooden sword was trembling, he suddenly reached out and grabbed it. Then, without thinking, the 9-colored sword in his other hand disappeared. All of his immortal power gathered in the hand holding the wooden sword. From now on, you are my weapon. Controlling it with his mind, Jiang Chun infused all his immortal energy into it. The corner of his mouth curled up into a faint smile. Buzz! When the 9-attributed immortal power completely entered the sword, the whole wooden sword buzzed and burst out with a bright light. A sword art was also transmitted to Jiang Chun's mind. Vermilion Bird Talisman Wooden Sword? Seeing the name of the sword art, Jiang Chun knew the identity of this sword. But the Vermilion Bird was a spiritual beast race. Before he had experienced 10 reincarnations, when the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect was still standing in the immortal world, they had already disappeared for some special reasons. Perhaps there were still some of their clansmen alive, but they must have hidden themselves. How is it? How do you feel? Seeing Jiang Chun subduing the sword, Bai Xiaoyun came over excitedly and looked at the sword. The wooden sword comes with a sword art that has been engraved in my mind. It should be a good sword, but the shape is a bit ugly. Looking at the thing in his hand, Jiang Chun said with some embarrassment, "This thing was far less domineering than the sky-piercing spear." Holding the golden spear, the sharp spear light soared into the sky. Anyone could feel the shock. But now he was holding a wooden sword in his hand. Compared to it, it was indeed a bit inferior. Buzz! After hearing Jiang Chun's words, the wooden sword that was originally quiet suddenly broke away from Jiang Chun's hand and pointed the tip of the sword at the tip of Jiang Chun's nose. Okay, I won't talk about you in the future. Although it's not that gorgeous, it looks incomparably simple, like a weapon used by an expert. Jiang Chun was a bit stunned. He quickly raised his hand and said with a smile. After hearing this, the wooden sword was honest and returned to Jiang Chun's hand. This sword looks good, but I don't know how much use it can play. This was the first time Bai Xiaoyan saw a weapon with immortal power. Let's go to the main hall and take a look. Such a big palace. It's impossible for there to be only one sword here. Jiang Chen picked it up again to take a look and was ready to put it into the storage ring. But before he could aim at the storage ring, the wooden sword once again left his hand. After a few circles in the air, it stuck to Jiang Chen's back and firmly attached to it with its own immortal power. This sword is too interesting. After seeing this scene with Jiang Chen, Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but praise. But Jiang Chen just rolled his eyes. He heard of spirit beasts evolving spiritual intelligence, heard of trees evolving spiritual intelligence, but he had never heard of a sword evolving spiritual intelligence. Usually it was more convenient, but once the wooden sword sensed danger in a fight, it would turn around and run away, leaving him behind. What should he do? He would have to rely on the sky-piercing spear. Thinking about it was just thinking. Jiang Chen still didn't dare to say it out loud. He was afraid that the wooden sword would throw a tantrum again. Carrying it, Jiang Chen and Bai Xiaoyan once again returned to the main hall. Although the main hall was imposing, it still exuded an ancient aura. One look, and one could tell that it came from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Let's split up. You take the left and I take the right. No matter what good things you see, put them into the storage ring. Even if you can't sell them, it's still very good for the Tianji Pavilion and the Immortal Sect to use. After closing the wooden door, Bai Xiaoyan looked left and right and said, "Okay." Jiang Chen didn't refute. The two of them split up. Jiang Chen searched the entire palace room by room. Although this place wasn't small, there wasn't anything too valuable. After putting a few passable immortal techniques into the storage ring, Jiang Chen continued to walk further inside. Most of these immortal techniques were of the ice attribute. After leaving the mountain valley, he could give them to the Passion Valley, and then choose some to send to the humble sect. Unlike Jiang Chen, Bai Xiaoyan didn't choose at all, and just took everything she saw into the storage ring, not even letting go of a few low-grade herbs. Using his own words, it was the Tianji Pavilion had been poor for hundreds of thousands of years, and all the senior and junior brothers were afraid of being poor. Chapter 1951. After searching for a while, Jiang Chen didn't find anything good. Perhaps the best thing in the entire hall was already behind him. Jiang Chen prepared to meet up with Bai Xiaoyan. But just as he turned around, the wooden sword on his back exerted force, and Jiang Chen was almost pulled to the ground by it. Jiang Chen staggered. "What are you doing?" Exhaling a mouthful of turbid air, Jiang Chen picked it up from his back and asked helplessly. Even though the long sword was held in Jiang Chen's hand, it still pointed forward. "You mean you want me to go in there?" Jiang Chen raised his head and said, "There's nothing valuable in this entire palace, and I'm afraid it's the same if I go in. Moreover, I can't take all the good things out. Wouldn't the Frost Sky clan's patriarch fall out with me?" After saying that, Jiang Chen turned around again to look for Bai Xiaoyan. However, the long sword suddenly brought Jiang Chen inside of it. Jiang Chen's whole body was carried up, but he didn't dare to let go, for fear that the wooden sword would disappear in front of him. If he lost it, the swordsmanship in his mind would be useless. About a few minutes later, the wooden sword stopped. Jiang Chen tidied up his messy hair and looked forward. With this look, Jiang Chen was instantly grateful to the wooden sword. If it hadn't brought him here, then he might have really missed the treasure inside. Cough, cough, thank you. Jiang Chen cleared his throat and walked inside. The wooden sword also obediently returned to Jiang Chen's back. In this seemingly messy secret room, Jiang Chen seemed to see 6 residual shadows sitting opposite each other. From their eyes, it could be seen that they seemed to be discussing something important. However, it didn't matter what it was. What mattered was that Jiang Chen saw piles of immortal methods. Good. He flipped through it. Jiang Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. These techniques were not much weaker than the seal of ice that he had cultivated. They were enough to be considered the top techniques in the immortal realm. Unfortunately, there were only 5 of them. Next to these spells was a brown spirit beast's inner core. Jiang Chen picked it up and studied it for a while. The inner core of an immortal king-level spiritual beast. Jiang couldn't help but sigh. He didn't expect that there would be such good things in the palace. Jiang put all these things into his storage ring and prepared to search again. He would take away all the good ones and leave those that were slightly inferior here. Are you a descendant of Xinzang? Just as Jiang search was in full swing, a voice suddenly sounded. What Xin Zong? Jiang was a little surprised. He immediately turned around and saw the 6 shadows not far behind him. Not to mention spiritual bodies, they couldn't even be called a wisp of spiritual consciousness. It can only be said that their cultivation was too high when they were alive, so they left behind afterimages. Jiang saw a familiar figure among them. It was Chou Tianji, who had just escaped. Looking at him, Jiang was angry. However, Chou Tianji's afterimage didn't look at Jiang at all. Sitting next to Chou Tianji was a brawny man with fiery red hair. He should be one of the ancestors of the flame-bathing Phoenix clan. Could it be the ancestor whose body was stolen? Jiang muttered to himself. However, he didn't say anything. If it was true, he was afraid that the old man would really explode. He had dominated the immortal realm for hundreds of thousands of years. After he died, his body buried in the mountains was actually stolen. No one would be able to accept this. Xinzang has been missing for tens of thousands of years. It may be that the Suzaku wooden sword has found a new owner. The 6 afterimages kept talking, as if they hadn't seen Jiang at all. Seniors, you continue the meeting here. I still have some things to deal with, so I will leave first. Jiang sensed a bad premonition. Based on his experience of 10 reincarnations, it was definitely a great opportunity for him to stumble into this place. If it was before, Jiang would definitely be in high spirits. Even if he had to wait here for hundreds of years, he would get the opportunity to improve his strength. But now he has the mission of the rise of 10,000 Mounts Immortal Sect and Tianji Zone. He even had to help Wang Min restore the honor of Han Bing Wang. He really didn't have the energy to care about other things. Go! Just as Jiang was about to step out, one of the afterimages suddenly stretched out his hand. Immediately, an invisible force broke out and directly pushed Jiang out. Jiang didn't even have the chance to resist. His speed was so fast that it almost broke the space. He directly penetrated the enchantment outside the hall, flew to the center of the valley, and finally slammed into the river that fell from the sky. Plop! Jiang fell into it, splashing water. Some people noticed the afterimage flashing, but no one would think that it was Jiang. After all, in the valley, there were many spirit beasts that could fly. Is this kid the one who was chosen? After Jiang was ejected, the person who had just made a move spoke. Maybe. Xuanzang is the #1 general under that lord. Even his weapon was chosen. Most likely it was that lord's arrangement. The afterimage we left behind has finally completed its mission. We didn't let down that lord who helped us stabilize the immortal realm. This person's cultivation is too weak. I'm afraid he hasn't even explored 1/10 of the immortal realm. It'll be difficult for him to complete that lord's mission. Farewell, everyone. We may never have the chance to see each other again. The voices of the 6 people grew softer and softer, and even their afterimages gradually dissipated until they were completely gone. At the same time, the door to the secret chamber was tightly shut. In the hundreds of thousands of years since the valley's existence, Jiang was the first person to enter. Of course, he was also the last. Of course, Jiang didn't know what was going on inside. He'd already brought the wooden sword to the river. Jiang lay in the water, allowing the river to wash over his body. The impurities in his body were washed out bit by bit, and even his foundation became more solid. Huff! In this state, Jiang lost consciousness and fell into a deep slumber. One day, 2 days, several days passed in a row. Bai Xiaoyan filled her storage ring to the brim. If it weren't for the limited space, she would have taken the entire hall with her. I forgot that junior brother is the disciple of an ancient immortal king. Bai Xiaoyan stroked her storage ring and walked outside. She planned to go back and ask Jiang if she could learn some top-grade boundary techniques from Gu Hua. If she encountered a similar situation in the future, she could move everything into the formation and teleport it back to the divination pavilion. Bai Xiaoyan believed that with Gu Hua's level of attainment, she'd definitely know how to use such a technique. Chapter 1952. Little Junior Brother, there are less than 2 days left before the Sky Mountain Valley closes. Let's get out quickly. Otherwise, if we're trapped here, it'll be 10,000 years before we can get out. Standing in the main hall, Bai Xiaoyan sensed that no one had entered and shouted loudly. However, as soon as he shouted, he felt that something was amiss. That was the fluctuation of immortal power from Jiang Chun, and the wooden sword had never appeared in his perception. Bai Xiaoyan was a little worried. However, he also felt that with Jiang Chun's strength, he should be invincible in the Sky Mountain Valley. Other than the 3 immortal kings, everyone else would be restricted. Could it be that he's already left the main hall? Bai Xiaoyan couldn't help but feel suspicious and quickly left the main hall. However, even when he returned to the entrance, he still couldn't sense Jiang Chen's aura. In a hurry, he found Long Dade. As soon as he saw Bai Xiaoyan, Long Dade raised the spear in his hand and said, "White Immortal King, I got a spear. Although it's not as good as the sky-breaking spear, it's still a sacred item from the ancient Fanshu clan. Let's not talk about this first." Bai Xiaoyan glanced and asked, "Brother Dade, have you seen Jiang Chen?" "No." Long Dade nodded. Long Dade nodded blankly. "I just came out. Wasn't he with you the whole time? We entered the Ice Lion clan's territory. After a few days, I couldn't find Jiang Chen. The Sky Mountain Valley will close in 2 days. Also, I'm worried that he might be in danger." Bai Xiaoyan frowned slightly and said, "I don't think so. Jiang Chen is so strong and has 2 great spiritual beast clans protecting him. Who would dare to do anything to him?" Long Dade wasn't as nervous as Bai Xiaoyan. He and Jiang Chen had known each other for too long. "You're right. But what if he entered some place and missed the time and couldn't get out?" Bai Xiaoyan also felt that Long Dade's words were too timely. Huixian and Ao Zhan weren't the only ones. If they were in danger, their master would rush over immediately. The barrier here wouldn't pose any obstruction to people of the 3 immortal kings' level of cultivation. It could be seen from how Jiang Chun could easily call Gu Huo over. Then it seems like there's no other way. Long Dade didn't know what to say. It seemed that Jiang Chun had done this kind of thing quite often. There are still 2 days. Let's wait a little longer. Bai Xiaoyan took a deep breath and sat cross-legged on the ground. Another day passed quietly. Almost all the cultivators in the valley had left. There were only 20 to 30 people left, and they had no intention of leaving. They were all itinerant cultivators in the southern region and did not have many cultivation resources to begin with. Rather than going out, it was better to be trapped here for 10,000 years. Not only could he cultivate in peace, but he could also find some treasures during this period of time. Then, after 10,000 years, he could easily establish himself in the immortal world. Outside the barrier, Huixian and Ao Zhan rushed over almost at the same time. They wanted to see Jiang Chen come out with their own eyes. They wanted to see if the kid would bring any treasures out of the valley. Although they knew the possibility was very small, they also understood that Jiang Chen could not be judged with common sense sometimes. The kid's luck was many times better than the others. In the river, Jiang Chen slowly opened his eyes. He didn't know how long he had been trapped here, but when he woke up, he was holding a ring in his hand. There was a small crystal on the ring that was flickering with the unique light of the power of space. "Do you know where I am?" Jiang Chen separated the river with immortal force and sat cross-legged. The wooden sword didn't react. "Phew, maybe those old men took revenge on me." Jiang Chen exhaled deeply. When he recalled that he had indeed disrespected those shadows, he roughly understood what was going on. However, when Jiang Chen was about to come out, the ring suddenly emitted a strange fluctuation. Then, the entire valley began to vibrate violently. The spirit beasts inside weren't affected, but the cultivators who wanted to stay inside were forcefully expelled by a sudden repulsive force. Even Jiang Chen and Long Dade, who were waiting inside, were sent outside. "What's going on?" Huixian frowned and hurriedly asked when he saw Bai Xiaoyan come out. "Clan leader Huixian, the valley suddenly expelled us all." Bai Xiaoyan stood up and hurriedly looked inside. Although her cultivation had recovered, she still couldn't take a step forward. "Where's Jiangchen?" Huixian glanced around and continued to ask. "Jiangchen is very likely still inside." Bai Xiaoyan looked anxious. Ao Zhan asked in a low voice, "Didn't I tell you to protect Jiangchen? Why did you come out when he was left inside?" "Clan leader, we don't know what's going on either." Ao Ting felt very wronged. He had been waiting at the entrance of the barrier on the third day, waiting to see Jiangchen and come out together. Who would have thought that this would be the result? "Ao Hung, come with me to take a look." Ao Zhan turned his head and shouted. He unleashed the strength of a peak 5th-level immortal king and prepared to barge in. "Yes, clan leader." Ao Hung was also prepared to go in. "White immortal king, you guard outside. I'll go in with clan leader Ao Zhan." Huixian was also prepared to rush in. He was worried that Jiangchen would really be in danger inside. After all, the entire barrier of the valley was too big. Even he didn't fully understand the situation inside. "Okay," Ao Zhan shouted. The two of them took a step forward at the same time, preparing to enter with their powerful cultivation. At this moment, Jiangchen flashed in front of them. The barriers suddenly disappeared. "Are the two clan leaders going to attack me?" Seeing the two people in front of him who were ready to attack, Jiangchen was so scared that he took a step back and asked in a trembling voice. What a joke! They were 7th-level immortal kings and 6th-level immortal kings. If they really wanted to kill him, Bai Xianling might not even be able to make it in time. "You came out?" Huixian and Ao Zhan immediately stopped. "Ah, it's not the end of the 10 days. I didn't come out late." Jiangchen shrugged and said, "You don't know. Just now, a strong repulsive force suddenly erupted in the valley and repelled all of us. Clan leader Huixian and clan leader Ao Zhan were worried that you would be in danger inside, so they were about to go in and rescue you." Bai Xiaoyan was relieved to see Jiangchen. She hurried to explain, "I also noticed it, but I was quite far away and just came out." Jiangchen pretended to be relaxed and said, "Fortunately, I came out in time. Otherwise, I don't know what the consequences would be." "You can't do such a risky thing in the future." Seeing that Jiangchen was fine, Huixian withdrew his immortal force. Chapter 1953. Jiangchen nodded. He touched the ring on his finger discreetly. The entire mountain valley had entered the ring and became his personal space. However, he was not going to tell anyone about this. The place built by the 6 patriarchs of the spirit beast clans had fallen into his hands. If he told them, no one would be able to accept it. The mountain valley has never been so strange. Could it be that it has dissipated? After confirming that Jiangchen was fine, Huixian looked forward again. He could no longer sense the existence of the mountain valley's barrier. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. "Well, let's go back quickly." Jiangchen looked embarrassed. He was afraid that they would see through him if he continued to stay here. Even Ao Zhan followed him back to the Flame Phoenix clan. In the main hall, many clansmen looked inside. They wanted to see what the 2 patriarchs of the Spirit Beast clans were discussing. "Young master, did you get anything from the mountain valley?" Ao Zhan asked expectantly. Hearing the patriarch's words, even Ao Hung turned his head. As the most talented disciple of the ancient Void Dragon clan, he had entered the mountain valley more than 10 times. However, he had only found some common herbs in the mountain range. As for the secret treasures, he had never even seen them, let alone obtained them. In the end, he did not go in and gave the opportunity to the other members of the clan. "I got it." Looking at their passionate looks, Jiangchen had wanted to keep it a secret from them. However, after thinking about it, the two of them might know something about the situation inside the barrier. So, he told them the truth. "Oh, what?" Both Huixian and Ao Zhan became excited. "This wooden sword." Jiangchen took the vermilion bird talisman sword from his back and said, Maybe it was because there were too many people here, but the wooden talisman sword stayed in Jiangchen's hand obediently this time. Even the immortal power on the sword was firmly locked, and it didn't leak out at all. Puffed. After seeing this, Ao Hung could not help but sneer. "What are you doing?" Ao Zhan was also a little surprised, but after hearing Ao Hang's mocking laughter, He frowned and scolded in a low voice. That Aohung also realized where the problem was. He hurriedly stretched out his hand to pinch his throat and coughed forcefully a few times. He said, "Clan leader, I suddenly felt that my throat was very uncomfortable. I must clear my throat. Is there only this wooden sword?" Huaxian examined the item in Jiang Chen's hand. After a while, he said with a frown, "That's all." Jiang Chen nodded and put the wooden sword on his back again. There was no need for him to reveal the ordinary things that he had plundered. As for the valley of the mountain, if he were to reveal it, the entire southern region would change. Perhaps this wooden sword has its own uniqueness. Although Ao Zhan didn't understand, he could feel that the wooden sword was somewhat different from other weapons. However, when he thought about it carefully, he couldn't remember anything about it. "Oh, that's right. Clan chiefs. Have you heard about the Vermilion Bird clan?" Thinking of the sword technique in his mind, Jiang Chen asked. According to the sword technique, if one wanted to completely master it, they had to have the special mark of the Vermilion Bird clan in their body. Otherwise, no matter how proficient they were in sword cultivation, even if they cultivated to the peak, they would not be able to unleash 100% of the sword technique's power. The Vermilion Bird clan? Huaxian and Gu Hua exchanged a glance. "That's right," Jiang Chen said with a nod. "This clan seems to have completely disappeared from the immortal realm hundreds of thousands of years ago. They had even declined 1,000,000 years ago. If you hadn't mentioned it now, I would have almost forgotten about them." Huaxian leaned back in his chair. He remembered that when he was young, the Blazing Phoenix clan still had some connections with the declining Vermilion Bird clan. However, in his impression, the Vermilion Bird clan was already in decline. "Why are you asking about this clan?" Guhu was also a little surprised. "To be honest, clan leaders, my wooden talisman sword seems to be something left behind by the Vermilion Bird clan. Therefore, I want to inquire about the whereabouts of the Vermilion Bird clan and see if I can obtain some sword techniques." Jiang Chen told them bluntly. "It's a wooden talisman sword of the Vermilion Bird clan. My eyes are really bad." Huaxian looked at the wooden sword on Jiang Chen's back and was momentarily stunned. Why would a wooden talisman sword of the Vermilion Bird clan appear in the mountain valley jointly built by the 6 great spirit beast ancestors? Guhua was also a little shocked. Maybe one of the ancestors had a good relationship with the Vermilion Bird clan back then. Jiang Chen scratched his head and said casually. He didn't know what was going on either. The sword was stuck in the ground, and Jiang Chen didn't sense the existence of the Vermilion Bird clan. That's possible. However, the Vermilion Bird clan has disappeared for hundreds of thousands of years. Even if there are sword techniques that have been passed down, I don't know where they are in the immortal world. If you want to find it, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. Huaxian took a deep breath and said, "Okay." Jiang Chen nodded. "Ao Hung, all of you can leave first." Ao Zhan was just about to speak when he looked at his clansmen sitting in front of him and waved his hand at them. "However, young master, if you really want to find the sword techniques of the Vermilion Bird clan, you can go to the Wild Forest to take a look. It's said that it's the last place the Vermilion Bird clan stayed before they disappeared." After Ao Hung and the others left, Ao Zhan spoke up. "I mean, it's better not to go." When he heard that, Huaxian shook his head and refused. "If you want to cultivate sword techniques, our Phoenix clan has a few top-notch books. If you really can't do it, you can ask Xianjun for a few books. He owes me, so he should help you." "I'm not interested in Xianjun's sword techniques." Jiangchen also shook his head and said. Xianjun had even learned the mental cultivation method of the mastery of Myriad Sword. Other sword techniques could not catch Jiang Chen's attention at all. Moreover, the talisman wood sword had its own immortal power and might even have its own consciousness. Jiang Chen wanted to fully comprehend the sword technique. Clan leader Huaxian is right. The Wild Forest is one of the places closest to the unknown territory. It's unfathomable, and there are many ferocious beasts and hungry beasts living there. Even we don't dare to casually go in. It's not that easy for you to find the whereabouts of the Vermilion Bird clan in there. Ao Zhan realized that he had said something wrong and quickly corrected himself. "It's fine. I'm just going to take a look. I'm not going there to train." Jiang Chen was very interested in the forest. It was not only because of the Vermilion Bird clan, but also because it was close to the unknown territory. Chapter 1954. What did that mean? It meant that there might be some information about his mother. Even though Jiang Chen knew that the possibility was very small, he still wanted to go and take a look. If you really want to go, I'll go with you. Seeing that Jiang Chen was so determined, Hu Xian compromised. According to the rumors, some of the ferocious beasts might be related to unknown areas. I'm worried if you go alone. No, I'll go alone this time. No one needs to follow me. Jiang Chen shook his head resolutely. This was related to his mother, and he was going to look for the mark of the vermilion bird tribe. If he really brought Hua Xian along, wouldn't he be exposed? What about me? Bai Xiaoyan pointed at her nose and asked, Eldest senior brother, you should go back to the immortal sect and wait for me. I'll go in and take a look. Jiang Chen said in a deep voice. Young master, this is not a joke. In the entire immortal world, there are many immortal lords and even immortal kings who have barged into the wild forest. None of them have returned alive. Ao Zhan was anxious. He regretted telling them about the situation in the wild forest. Once something happened to Jiang Chen, the 10,000 Mounts immortal sect would definitely collapse. Then everyone would come to settle the score with him. Even Hu Xian might completely break ties with the ancient dragon tribe. As for Long Dade, he wouldn't help his family anymore. It's decided then. I'll rest for 2 days. The day after tomorrow, I'll leave for the wild forest. Jiang Chen didn't pay any attention to their dissuasion. After speaking, he walked out of the room directly. Looking at Jiang Chen's back, Ao Zhan was stunned. White Immortal King, Jiang Chen refused to listen to our advice. You have a good relationship with him. Go and persuade him. If he insists on going, we have to follow and protect him. Hu Xian looked at Bai Xiaoyan and said, It's useless, Hu Xian clan leader. Bai Xiaoyan smiled and said helplessly, Once my junior brother has decided on something, no one can change his mind, not even master. Then what should we do? Ao Zhan clapped his hands together and sighed. There's definitely danger, but it shouldn't be life-threatening. Bai Xiaoyan wasn't as worried as them. With Bai Xinling and Gu was secretly protecting Jiang Chen. Even if he really encountered those murderers, they would definitely be able to protect him and leave. The 3 great immortal kings were not just for show. However, while Bai Xiaoyan knew about this, Hu Xian and Ao Zhan did not. They knew that they couldn't follow Jiang Chen in, so they were all racking their brains to think of a way to protect Jiang Chen. 2 days passed. After resting, Jiang Chen felt especially relaxed. In the past 2 days, he had also comprehended the swordsmanship in his mind. With the mastery of myriad swords, it was relatively easy for Jiang Chen to grasp all the swordsmanship in the immortal world. However, when Jiang Chen was comprehending this book, he always felt that something was missing, no matter how he thought about it. He could only attribute it to the fact that he didn't possess the mark of the vermilion bird tribe. Jiang Chen, wait! Hu Xian quickly caught up with Jiang Chen, just as he was about to walk out of the boundary of fire. Ao Zhan was also behind him, with a hurried expression. Patriarchs, I didn't say that I would go by myself. You don't have to say anything. Jiang Chen smiled helplessly. We're not here to stop you. Do you still have the crystal I gave you before? Hu Xian stared at Jiang Chen and asked. Jiang Chen flipped his hand over, and the red crystal appeared in his palm. When he'd faced the black-robed man in the forest and fought with the sect master of the Black Sect in the eastern region, Jiang Chen had almost crushed it. Here it is. Jiang Chen handed it to Hu Xian. It's good that it's here. Although you don't want us to follow you, it's really too dangerous in the wild forest. If you can't escape, you must crush the crystal. That way, I can rush over immediately. Hu Xian heaved a sigh of relief and said in a deep voice. To be honest, Patriarch Hu Xian, I think so too. Jiang Chen smiled and kept the crystal. Young master, this is the crystal of our ancient void dragon clan. If you encounter any danger, you must. Ao Zhan also took out a gray crystal and handed it to Jiang Chen. Crush it too, right? Jiang Chen asked, taking it back as well. That's right. I will be on standby in the clan. That way, no matter what ferocious beasts or dangers you encounter, Patriarch Hu Xian and I will definitely be able to bring you back safely. All right, I'll remember. Jiang Chen nodded. He was extremely touched that Huixian and Ao Zhan valued him so much. However, when he looked around, there were only two patriarchs standing in front of him. Bai Xiaoyan and Long Dade were nowhere to be seen. For the past 2 days, Jiang Chen had been in seclusion and had no time to deal with them. Patriarch Huixian, have my big senior brother and Long Dade returned? Jiang Chen raised his eyebrows and asked. If they had not returned to the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect, they should have come out to relax. The two of them had a hangover with their clansmen yesterday. They should be sleeping soundly now. Huixian said with some embarrassment. These two are unreliable. Jiang Chen thought to himself. Young master, you must pay attention to your safety. Ao Zhan reminded him again. See you later. Jiang Chen waved at them and quickly stepped out of the barrier. Not long after Jiang Chen stepped out, a long spear swept out from somewhere in the tribe and directly pierced through the barrier, following closely behind Jiang Chen. As it moved, the rust on it gradually fell off, revealing a golden light. What is this? Huixian looked at the long spear in the air. This is the sky-splitting spear of the sky-devouring Golden Dragon clan. After seeing this, Ao Zhan fell into deep thought. Strange, why does the young master have the ability to control the sky-splitting spear? He can even make his body appear. Maybe he encountered some opportunities. Huixian did not care. He had seen too many unusual things about Jiang Chen. Take this time, for example. For hundreds of thousands of years, almost no one had brought out any treasures from the mountain valley. However, Jiang Chen had gone in once and obtained the Vermilion Bird Clan's talisman wooden sword. Before seeing it, he had never heard of it. After leaving the flame barrier, Jiang Chen flew straight in the direction of the wild forest. According to Ao Zhan, this forest should be at the end of the southern region, close to the unknown area. Jiang Chen did not know how far away it was. He just kept urging the immortal power in his body and even used the 1,000-change heavenly lamp. As his figure flashed, only the remaining immortal power fluctuations were left. As for his body, it had long disappeared. After Jiang Chen left, Ao Zhan returned to the ancient Void Dragon clan. As for Huixian, he went into seclusion in one of his family's secret rooms. He wanted to wait here wholeheartedly. In this way, he would be able to detect Jiang Chen as soon as he crushed the crystal, and he wouldn't be distracted by other matters. Chapter 1955. Even with Jiang Chen's speed, after nearly half a month, he still did not see the border of the southern region, nor did he sense any fluctuations in the unknown domain. However, what could be seen with the naked eye below was that the lush vegetation had long disappeared and was replaced by an endless desolation. Within a radius of 100 miles, he could only sense less than 10 cultivators. Sensing that his immortal power had been consumed because of the journey, Jiang Chen stopped when he saw a village. At the entrance of the village, there was a very simple-looking tavern. Jiang Chen pushed the door open and entered. In the tavern, there were only a few people sitting inside. Their cultivation was only around the true immortal realm. When they saw a stranger enter, they all looked over together. Is this the tavern? Seeing that they were all staring at him, Jiang Chen asked with a smile. Of course it's the tavern. One of the waiters, who was wearing linen clothes, quickly walked over and wiped the table in front of Jiang Chen. Sir, please take a seat. We have wine brewed from the fruits of the nearby mountains and low-level spirit beast meat that we raised ourselves. Take a look and see what you want. Just a little bit will do. Jiang Chen sat down and took a few breaths before saying, Wait a moment, I'll go prepare it right away. The waiter walked inside eagerly. When opening a tavern, he could tell at a glance who had money and who didn't. When he saw Jiang Chen, he knew that he was definitely a rich man. As long as he served him well, he might be able to give him thousands of immortal jade if he was happy. After waiting for a while, Jiang Chen saw the waiter coming over with a basin full of meat. Not only Jiang Chen, but also the other people in the tavern looked at it. They looked at the mountain of meat in front of Jiang Chen and then looked at the pitiful few slices on the plates in front of them. They immediately sighed with emotion. Sir, I can sense that the immortal power in your body is a little weak. This low-level spirit beast meat can restore immortal power. Try it. The waiter looked at Jiang Chun and said, "Where's the wine?" Jiang Chun didn't say anything. Although there was a lot of meat in this basin, it didn't cost much. "Bring it over immediately." Seeing that Jiang Chun did not refuse, the waiter hurriedly brought the wine pot over. This time, he didn't try to take advantage of the situation. He knew that once was enough. If he tried again, the guest in front of him might not be satisfied. Jiang Chun took a sip, picked up a few pieces of meat, and stuffed them into the innermost part of the bowl. Seeing how bold Jiang Chun was, the few cultivators could not help but swallow their saliva. Spirit beast meat. They could only eat 3 to 4 slices of meat per meal. "If you guys want to eat, come and eat together." Seeing their eyes, Jiang Chun waved at them. It was his first time here, so Jiang Chun knew nothing about the situation here. He didn't know the specific location of the wild forest, so he was hoping to get some information from them. "Really?" Several people hurried to Jiang Chun's side. "Waiter, 2 more basins." Jiang Chun waved at the waiter. "Little brother, you're so generous. Yeah, you're the kindest person I've ever met." They hurried to salute Jiang Chun with their hands folded in front of their chest to express their gratitude when they heard there would be endless spiritual beast meat. They had never eaten meat so heartily before. The 3 basins of spirit beast meat were cleaned out in just a few minutes. These cultivators sat on the chairs contentedly and rubbed their bellies. Their eyes were full of gratitude to Jiang Chun, and they even had the impulse to sacrifice their lives for Jiang Chun. "Brother, are you also going to Mercenary Town?" After eating and drinking to their heart's content, they looked at Jiang Chun and asked, "Mercenary Town? Where is this place?" Jiang Chun raised his eyebrows. "So it's not. Mercenary Town is about 10,000 miles away from here. It's a town near the wild forest. There are dozens of mercenary groups of various sizes there." One of them explained. "Oh? Isn't the wild forest extremely dangerous? Why would there be mercenary groups there?" Jiang Chun was curious. "It's precisely because it's dangerous that these mercenary groups are born. They receive missions from all over the immortal realm. Some go to the wild forest to pick herbs, others hunt spirit beasts for intercourse. The greater the risk, the more immortal jade they receive. I've heard that in the largest mercenary groups, each mercenary group can receive at least 100,000 immortal jade for a single mission." As they spoke, Jiang Chun saw the passion in their eyes. "You're all going to a mercenary group?" Jiang Chun's interest was piqued. However, news of the Vermilion Bird clan and his mother had to be kept secret. Otherwise, Jiang Chun would have gone to the mercenary groups there for help. "That's right. Rogue cultivators like us who don't belong to any clan, sect, or cultivation might as well try our luck in Mercenary Town. If we can get immortal jades, we can even find treasures in the wild forest. Why not?" "That's right. By the way, brother, if you're not going to Mercenary Town, why are you passing by here? As far as we know, there aren't any sects or families around here." As they spoke, their gazes converged on Jiang Chun again. "I was just wandering around because I had nothing to do. However, I heard that Mercenary Town is very interesting, so I'll go with you." Jiang Chun smiled and said casually, "Okay, let's go together." The few of them burst into laughter. They knew that with Jiang Chun as their companion, they would not have to worry about food and drink before they reached Mercenary Town. "Waiter, how much is it?" Jiang Chun waved to the person behind him. "Sir, it's a total of 6,000 immortal jade." The waiter hurried over. 10,000, keep the change." Jiang Chun rummaged through the storage rings. The smallest promissory note was 10,000. "Thank you, sir. Thank you." The waiter held the promissory note and bowed to Jiang Chun repeatedly. After leaving the tavern, Jiang Chun followed them to Mercenary Town. It was better to have a companion than to go alone. Moreover, he did not know much about Mercenary Town. If he could learn about the situation in the wild forest from these mercenaries, he would have a better chance of finding the whereabouts of the Vermilion Bird tribe. While following them, Jiang Chun also took the opportunity to familiarize himself with the sword technique. Mercenary Town. This place could be said to be the edge of the entire southern region. Of course, this was only a rumor. After all, if they continued forward, they would reach the wild forest. No one knew how deep or long the forest was. No one had ever measured it, and no one had ever reached the deepest part of the forest. It was only said that this was the southernmost end of the immortal realm. However, there were all kinds of people in Mercenary Town. Some people had brought news that the other side of the wild forest was another continent of the immortal realm. No one knew what it was like. As they approached the wild forest, the number of cultivators gradually increased. Some came from outside like Jiang Chun, while others left from inside the town. "This is Mercenary Town." One of them pointed at the huge town in front of them and said to Jiang Chun. Chapter 1956. After traveling together for so long, I still don't know your names. Jiang Chun looked up at the several towns in front of him and asked. Although it was called a town, it was actually bigger than 2 towns combined. Moreover, he could sense thousands of auras inside, from immortal kings to immortals. There's nothing to mention about our previous names. The few of us happened to meet together, so we became sworn brothers and gave ourselves a new name. "You can call me Old One," the person who spoke earlier said. "You guys won't be assigned from Old One to Old Seven, right?" Looking at the other 6 people around him, Jiang Chun said with the corners of his mouth twitching. "That's right, that's our current name. But brother, don't think that you're rich and have a higher cultivation than us. If you want to join us, you can only be Old 8. Old One said to Jiang Chun with an embarrassed expression. "The name Old 8 is a bit unpleasant." Jiang Chun shook his head and continued, "I won't join you guys. I'm just here to take a look. Who knows when I'll leave?" Seeing that Jiang Chun wasn't interested, these people didn't insist. Jiang Chun furrowed his brows when he walked into the town. It was so noisy that he couldn't help but hear it. With an immortal realm expert like Jiang Chun, Old One, and the others originally just wanted to find an ordinary mercenary group. But now, they had some ideas about the strongest Beast Slayer mercenary group. They knew that being a celestial immortal realm expert was already considered very strong as a mercenary here. Immortal realm experts were the peak existences in each mercenary group. As for those above immortal realm, this kind of expert would be valued no matter which sect or family they went to. They would have countless cultivation resources and immortal jades to use. There was no need for them to come here and take risks as mercenaries. Following them, Jiang Chun came to a corner of the town. There was a huge manor here, and there were 2 true immortal realm cultivators guarding the door. It looked like an ordinary family, and it was difficult for them to integrate with a mercenary group. "You guys, what are you here for?" The guard looked at Jiang Chun and the others. Seeing that they were not dressed well and their cultivation levels were not high, he knew that they were not here to deliver the mission. "We wish to join the Beast Slayer mercenary group and become one of you." Old One walked in front of Jiang Chun and said to them, "Just you?" Looking at the people before him, who were only at the true immortal realm, the guard laughed out. "You are a true immortal. We are also true immortals. If you can enter, why can't we?" This laughter angered Old One. If it weren't for the fact that he had offended the Beast Slayer mercenary group, he would have definitely taken action. "I'm not looking down on you. It's just that with our cultivation, we can only guard the door. We don't have the qualifications to enter the desolate forest. You should go back. There are enough people guarding the door." The guard waved his hand and said, "Brother." After being rejected, Old One hurriedly signaled Jiang Chun with his eyes. Jiang Chun understood what he meant. He walked up to the guard with his hands behind his back. "If they're not qualified, then am I qualified? What are you?" The guard was a little impatient. However, when he sensed that Jiang Chun was a level 5 immortal realm expert, a smile appeared on his face. With such strength, not to mention ordinary mercenaries, he was qualified to be the vice leader of their mercenary group. "Why aren't you letting us in? If you continue to dawdle, we'll join another mercenary group," Old One hurriedly said when he saw how surprised the guard was. "Please come in. I'll inform the leader now." The guard didn't dare to stop them anymore. If these people really joined another mercenary group, the leader would definitely punish them severely once he knew about it. Old One and the rest followed him and proudly. They had completely forgotten that they were being treated like this because of Jiang Chun. After entering the manor, Jiang Chun sat in the living room. Jiang Chun saw a huge beast skin at the head of the table. That's a ferocious beast with the cultivation of an immortal monarch. After our leader killed it, he skinned it and used it as a cushion. He's the first in the entire mercenary town, the guard said proudly when he saw Jiang Chun looking over there. It was also because of this beast skin that those who came here acknowledged the strength of the Beast Slayer mercenary group and gradually became the largest mercenary group in the entire mercenary town. Oh, Jiang Chun was a little surprised and asked, "Is your leader an immortal monarch?" "Immortal sovereign," the guard replied. Jiang Chun laughed. If an immortal sovereign could kill a ferocious beast with the cultivation of an immortal monarch, why would he be a mercenary with such strength? He was afraid that any sect in the immortal world would treat him well. Even Xian, Jun's Jade Sword sect could easily enter. Jiang Chun guessed that most likely he was lucky to have encountered a severely injured immortal monarch ferocious beast. That was why he was able to kill it. "Please wait for a moment. Our leader personally led a team to the desolate forest to hunt ferocious beasts. He will probably return in a few hours." The guard looked at the sky outside and said to Jiang Chun, "Then why don't you treat us well? We came here from afar." Old One put his hands behind his back and looked disdainfully at everything. After hearing his words, Jiang Chun frowned slightly. This kind of fox, assuming the tiger's power, made him very unhappy. But after all, they were just strangers, so he didn't say anything. "No problem. I'll go prepare it for you." The guard hurriedly left. After a while, the spirit beast meat, good wine, and good dishes were all served. Old One and the others didn't care about Jiang Chun at all and directly ate in big mouthfuls. However, the one called Old Seven wasn't bad. As he ate, he said to Jiang Chun, "Brother, it's all thanks to you that we can receive such treatment. Meeting you is the best thing that has happened to us." "Yes, yes," Old One said vaguely as he stuffed the meat in the innermost part of his body. Jiang Chun didn't care about them. Instead, he sat on the chair and closed his eyes to rest. At the same time, he spread out his perception to see if he could find any news about the Vermilion Bird clan in the desolate forest. After a few hours, the leader of the mercenary group finally returned. He walked in front of everyone. Although there were some injuries on his body and his aura was unstable, he was unusually spirited. As he walked into the manor, many people in the town stared at him. Behind him, a dozen mercenaries were pushing a wooden cart. On the wooden cart, there was the corpse of a ferocious beast and close to 20 cultivator corpses. A ferocious beast of the god Immortal Realm. I'm afraid a ferocious beast of this cultivation level can already evolve spiritual intelligence. Don't you understand? Ferocious beasts aren't the same as spirit beasts. Only when they step into the immortal venerable realm can they evolve their intelligence and become cultivators. However, the strength of this Beast Slayer mercenary group is really strong. I remember that the last god, Immortal Realm Ferocious Beast, was also killed by them. Along the way, envious voices could be heard from time to time. Chapter 1957. As the leader of the Beast Slayer mercenary group, Zhou naturally enjoyed this kind of adoration. He knew that the more envious voices there were, the more famous his mercenary group would be in the surrounding dozens of towns. As a result, it would attract more powerful mercenaries and allow them to receive bigger missions. He could sell this divine, immortal realm spirit beast for nearly 3 billion immortal jades. After deducting the daily expenses of the accompanying mercenaries and the maintenance group, he could get 2 billion immortal jades for himself. Not to mention the mercenary town. Even in the immortal realm, not many families and sects were richer than him. Leader, there's a cultivator in the divine immortal realm who wants to join our mercenary group. Seeing that the leader had returned, the guard hurriedly ran out and reported respectfully. "Oh, divine immortal realm?" Zhou Wu's eyes lit up. He had lost 2 LV1 divine immortal realm experts in the wild forest to hunt the divine immortal realm spirit beast. He didn't know how many people below the divine immortal realm were killed or injured. The wooden cart only brought back complete corpses. There were dozens of people who died in the forest. Although he had made a lot of money, he was anxious to recruit more powerful subordinates to replenish his strength. Otherwise, if there was another mission, he wouldn't have the chance to complete it even if he accepted it. If this happened again and again, his reputation would definitely decline, which was very unfavorable for the entire mercenary group. Therefore, when he heard that such an expert had arrived, he immediately ordered his subordinates to pull the wooden cart into the manor while he walked quickly to the reception hall. However, as soon as he entered the door, he saw Old One and the others who were sweeping away the clouds and clouds. He was a little unhappy. However, when he thought that there were divine, immortal realm experts among them, he could only endure it and said, "Which one of you is a cultivator in the divine, immortal realm?" "I am." Jiangchen stood up and said, "Show me your cultivation. If it's above LV1 divine, immortal realm, you can become a core member of the Beast Slayer mercenary group. If it's above LV3 divine, immortal realm, you will have the opportunity to become our deputy leader." Zhou Wu glanced at Jiang Chun. He seemed to be in disbelief. The person in front of him looked young, probably less than 30 years old. Moreover, he looked like a virgin. With his knowledge, this kind of person should be from a big family or a big sect. Okay. Jiang Chun nodded and displayed his full cultivation. 5th tier of the divine, celestial stage. Zhou Wu's eyes widened when he felt the cultivation fluctuation coming from Jiang Chun. "I wonder if I can join your Beast Slayer mercenary group with my cultivation?" Jiang Chun retracted his cultivation and asked indifferently. "Of course, no problem at all. Little brother, from now on you will be a core member of our Beast Slayer mercenary group. As long as you follow me into the forest to hunt a few vicious beasts and make a name for yourself in the town, I will promote you to vice leader. This way, the other brothers will also be convinced by you. How is it?" Zhou Wu agreed without hesitation. He was afraid that Jiang Chun was just acting on a whim and would regret it later. "All right, I agree." Jiang Chun nodded and said, "They are." Zhou Wu pointed at Old One and the others who were eating and asked, "It's the person who came with him." The guard whispered, "Later, bring them downstairs and arrange them in the 10th team." The guard sighed softly. He hated this kind of people the most. However, he couldn't stand Jiang Chen's existence and had to accept them together. "You guys stop eating. The leader has accepted all of you. First, follow me to register. When the time comes, you will be able to eat." The guard quickly went forward and pulled them. "Really?" Old One quickly put down the things in his hand. Really? Come with me quickly." Seeing the reception hall in such a state, the guard frowned. He was afraid that the leader would blame him later. "Then, brother, let's meet again later." Old One and the others cupped their greasy hands and grinned at Jiang Chun. As soon as they left, Zhou Wu immediately ordered his men to clean up the table thoroughly. The leftovers were all thrown outside. "Little brother, I still don't know your name." Zhou Wu rubbed his hands excitedly and asked. "Jiang Chun." Jiang Chun told him the truth. This was the border of the southern region, and he was from the northern region. There were millions of miles between them. Jiang Chun was sure that the person in front of him had never heard of him. Jiang Chun. Zhou Wu pondered for a while and nodded. "It's a good name. In the future, if we cooperate well, no one in the entire mercenary town will be a match for us. To tell you the truth, I can get at least one. 5 billion celestial jades from the spirit beast of the divine, celestial realm that I just caught. If you participate in the future, I will get 70% and you will get 30%. What do you think?" Jiang Chun smiled and said, "No problem. Celestial jades are useless to me." "Huh. Then, Brother Jiang Chun, I will arrange a place for you to stay. I have a business tomorrow. The other party needs the inner elixir of a fierce beast of the wood attribute, and it must be above the 5th level of the divine celestial realm. I was worried about it. With you around, there will be no problem." Zhou Wu slapped his thigh and laughed loudly. "Leader Zhou, I have something to ask you." Jiang Chun hesitated for a while and asked. He didn't have much time to waste here. The reason why he joined the Beast Slayer mercenary group was because he wanted to have another channel to get information about the desolate forest. "Go ahead." Zhou Wu waved his hand. "I don't know if Leader Zhou has heard of the Vermilion Bird Clan. I heard that this clan lived in the desolate forest before they disappeared. Jiang Chen paused for a while and asked. Unexpectedly, Zhou Wu's expression changed the moment Jiang Chen said this. He looked at Jiang Chen cautiously and said, Why did Brother Jiang Chen suddenly ask about this? Did you come to our Beast Slayer mercenary group with a purpose? Of course not. Leader Zhou must have misunderstood me. I have only heard some news about this clan. Now that I have joined the Beast Slayer mercenary group, if I were to obtain the treasures left behind by the Vermilion Bird clan, wouldn't I make a fortune? Jiang Chen quickly shook his head. So that's how it is. Zhou didn't suspect anything. He just said with some fear, Brother Jiang Chen, it's better if you don't say such things in the future. I have been here for nearly 10 years, and I have never seen anything related to the Vermilion Bird clan. Moreover, the disappearance of this clan seems a little unusual. Unusual in what way? Jiang Chen asked. This is not something a mere immortal venerable like me can know. Zhou Wu shook his head. Chapter 1958. Understood? Jiang Chen nodded and said. Also, Brother Jiang Chen, don't be curious about this matter in the future. Otherwise, you'll get yourself killed sooner or later. Zhou Wu reminded him worriedly. He was afraid that this expert who had just joined the mercenary group would be killed. I'll listen to Leader Zhou. I won't mention it in the future. Jiang Chen agreed with a smile. However, he also understood that Zhou Wu definitely knew something about the Vermilion Bird clan. He just might have some scruples and wouldn't tell him. The more Zhou Wu refused to say, the more Jiang Chen thought that this information was important. He also wanted to find a way to get it out of Zhou Wu's mouth. Brother Jiang Chen, go and rest first. We'll gather in the manor tomorrow morning. We'll go into the deep forest to hunt ferocious beasts. You can take this opportunity to show your strength to the others and establish your prestige. Only then did Zhou Wu feel relieved. He arranged for Jiang Chen to stay in a small courtyard in the manor. There were even 2 guards at the entrance of the courtyard. The next morning, when Jiang Chen walked out, there were already many mercenaries gathered in the manor. It was obvious that Zhou Wu had invested a lot this time. Other than Jiang Chen, there was another divine immortal cultivator. The rest were lower level. Brother Jiang Chen, how was your rest? Zhou Wu quickly asked when he saw Jiang Chen walking out. Not bad, Jiang Chen replied casually. Everyone, let me introduce you. This is Jiang Chen. He just joined the Beast Slayer mercenary group yesterday. Don't be fooled by his young appearance. He's a level 5 divine, immortal expert. When Jiang Chen had walked up to the crowd, Zhou Wu pointed at him and shouted loudly to the crowd. You're right. Even the mercenaries outside the manor craned their necks to look over. They were all envious. They didn't understand why there were so many experts in the Beast Slayer mercenary group. In their mercenary group, there were only a few heavenly immortal experts, let alone divine immortal experts. Leader Zhou, let's go quickly. Jiang Chen frowned slightly and said, All right, let's go. Zhou Wu waved his hand and took the lead to leave the manor. When Jiang Chen turned around, the people behind him saw the wooden sword on his back. The group of people was stunned. A dignified 5th-level divine immortal expert was using a wooden sword as his weapon. One had to know that there were many forces that forged weapons in the mercenary town. Ordinary people bought spears and swords made of black iron or fine iron. Those who were slightly richer could add some crystal stones into the forging process to improve the quality of their weapons. As for those who could really take out millions or even tens of millions of immortal jades, they could own weapons made from the bones of spirit beasts. The more they gave, the higher the grade of the ferocious beast. Currently, a large saber in the town was made from the bones of an immortal realm ferocious beast. Its price was about 1 billion immortal jades. Could he be a swindler? It can't be. Our leader is an immortal venerable expert. How could he be deceived by him? Then why is he using a wooden sword? Could it be that he is so poor that he doesn't even have enough immortal jades to buy a weapon of similar quality? When Jiang Chen followed Zhou Wu out of the manor, many people behind them began to discuss. Jiang Chen heard their words clearly. He, who did not like wooden swords, suddenly felt the special charm of the vermilion bird talisman wooden sword. Such an ordinary wooden sword that was even looked down upon by others was used at this time. If he used the sky-breaking spear, it would be too eye-catching. After leaving the town, the group walked towards the desolate mountain range. The further they walked, the more they could feel the desolate mountain range's aura, especially the fluctuation of ferocious beasts. Brother Jiang Chun, have you been to the desolate mountain range before? Zhou Wu and Jiang Chun walked in front of everyone. He looked at the mercenary groups coming and going from the desolate mountain range and asked, "First time?" Jiang Chun glanced at the people around him. "Then you must follow me closely. Don't be fooled by your high cultivation. There are many hidden dangers in the desolate mountain range. A few years ago, there was an immortal monarch expert who trespassed into the desolate mountain range and died without leaving a corpse behind." Speaking of this, a confident smile appeared on Zhou Wu's face. He could be said to be the person who knew the desolate mountain range the best in the town. Not to mention immortal venerables. Even immortal monarchs would have to ask him if they wanted to enter the desolate mountain range. "With Leader Zhou around, I shouldn't be in danger, right?" Jiang Chen smiled and said casually. "That's not necessarily true. The desolate mountain range is too dangerous. Moreover, we might not be able to find any immortal venerable beasts with wood attribute nearby. We might have to search the entire mountain range. In that case, we might encounter more unknown dangers." Zhou Wu put away the smile on his face and said in a deep voice, "I believe in Leader Zhou's judgment." Jiang Chun said casually again. He knew it was dangerous in the wild forest, but with his strength, even if he ran into fierce beasts at the immortal monarch level, he could escape easily. As for those at the immortal king level at this level, it was basically impossible for them to exist in the desolate mountain range. "Ha, Brother Jiang Chun, you really believe in me? Don't worry, brother. I will definitely protect you. You are now the only two immortal monarchs in our Beast Slayer mercenary group." Hearing Jiang Chen's boasting, Zhou Wu was very pleased. He raised his hand and patted Jiang Chen's arm and said in a deep voice, "Okay, thank you, Leader Zhou." Jiang Chen nodded and replied. The group walked into the desolate mountain range. There were many people who wanted to go in with them, and they all shamelessly came forward to strike up a conversation. They all knew that as long as they followed Zhou Wu and the others, it meant that they would receive the greatest protection. Even if they were to face some venerable beasts, they would be able to survive. As for the price, they would have to pay some immortal jades. For the sake of their lives, immortal jades were nothing, and Zhou Wu was very willing to lead them. Since they were going into the desolate mountain range anyway, it would be fun to have these people as companions. Moreover, when the time came to face the venerable beasts with high cultivation, they could be used as bait. He had done this many times before, but the people in the town never knew about it. The reason was simple. Those who were under his protection almost all died in the desolate mountain range. There was no chance for them to return alive. For a moment, dozens of people followed behind Zhou Wu. They looked at Jiang Chen with some surprise and wondered how Jiang Chen could reach the immortal realm at such a young age. However, they only thought about it and did not dare to ask. Chapter 1959. They arrived at the entrance of the forest. Jiang Chen could feel the aura of desolation coming from within. "Brother Jiang Chen, this is your first time here, and you might not be used to it. It's better for you to stay close to me," Zhou Wu whispered as soon as he took his first step into the forest. "Okay, I'll remember that." Jiang Chen slowed down and followed behind him. After entering the desolate forest, Jiang Chen immediately spread out his perception. The group of people who joined at the last minute hid behind Zhou Wu. Since they had paid, they didn't have to worry about encountering low-level beasts. Ferocious beasts of the divine, immortal realm usually lived in deeper regions. "Be careful!" Suddenly, Zhou Wu shouted in a low voice. As he spoke, a ferocious beast with the cultivation of a celestial immortal charged out. Jiang Chen didn't move. He knew that the strength of the people around him was enough to deal with it. However, he was a little surprised that the beast carried a faint aura of desolation. Could it be related to an unknown area? Jiang Chen frowned. When he arrived here, He also learned about the situation of the desolate forest. He didn't agree with the saying that the other side of the forest was the end of the immortal realm. In his previous life, he lived in the immortal realm. Although he had always lived in the 10,000 Mounts Immortal sect and almost never left the northern region, he still had a certain understanding of the immortal realm. It was vast and boundless. This was the most basic impression of the immortal realm people had of the immortal realm. Therefore, it was more likely that the other side of the desolate forest was an unknown area. The wild aura that these ferocious beasts carried seemed to be the best explanation for all of this. Haha, divine immortal realm beasts. With the presence of an immortal venerable expert like Zhou Wu, they naturally weren't afraid. On the contrary, their eyes lit up with excitement. Divine immortal realm beasts could be sold for hundreds of millions of immortal jade. Every member of the Beast Slayer mercenary group could get close to 2 million immortal jade. This could be said to be the annual income of an ordinary mercenary in Mercenary Town. This was also the reason why every mercenary wanted to join the Beast Slayer mercenary group. As long as one's luck was good, they would have the opportunity to earn hundreds of millions of immortal jades in a year. This was an amount that other mercenary groups could only dream of. Just as Jiangchen was thinking about whether the wild forest had anything to do with the unknown domain, Zhou had already rushed forward. He held a very wide broadsword in his hand, and when he released his immortal energy, he had already arrived at the side of the beast. I've just entered, and I've already encountered a murderer at the heavenly immortal stage. Looks like I'm going to make a killing this time. With a smile on his face, Zhou Wu raised the broadsword in his hand and slashed at the beast's abdomen. Naturally, the ferocious beasts were not to be trifled with. Although it was a little fat, it was still very agile. He dodged to the side and dodged Zhou Wu's fierce attack. He even seized the opportunity to extend his pitch-black claws and ruthlessly clawed at Zhou Wu's back. Don't just stand there, attack. Zhou Wu turned his sword and blocked the attack with his broadsword. He then turned his head and shouted at the crowd in a low voice. After hearing his command, dozens of people swarmed forward and surrounded the ferocious beasts in the blink of an eye. His strength is a little weak. The corner of Jiang Chen's mouth curled up into a smile as he muttered to himself. When the ferocious beasts attacked, he could sense the strength of this thing. Even a half-step immortal venerable could easily kill it. Moreover, Zhou Wu seemed to be having a hard time facing it. What did this mean? It meant that Zhou Wu wasn't a true immortal venerable expert. Perhaps he had some fortuitous encounter in the wild forest, or perhaps he had consumed some pills that could greatly increase his cultivation base. That was why his cultivation base was forcefully raised to the immortal venerable realm. Jiang Chun could tell from the strength he had shown that he was strong. His true cultivation base should be around the 3rd level of the immortal realm. Tisk, could it be that there are really treasures in this wild forest? Jiang Chun looked around. From the 3rd level of the immortal realm to the immortal venerable realm. This wasn't something that an ordinary pill could do. Given Zhou Wu's wealth, he shouldn't have the opportunity to buy it. It must be because of this wild forest. To be able to raise a cultivator's cultivation base to such a high level, it definitely wasn't something that an ordinary fortuitous encounter could do. Looking at the gloomy forest, Jiang Chun had a strong interest in this forest, even though the chances of finding the Vermilion Bird clan was slim. While he was thinking, under the joint attack of Zhou Wu and dozens of members of the Beast Slayer mercenary group, the heavenly immortal ferocious beast was ultimately outnumbered. After killing 3 members with a single slap, Zhou Wu's broadsword ruthlessly pierced its abdomen. Asterisk chi. Asterisk blood spurted out. Zhou Wu gritted his teeth and looked at the ferocious beasts in front of him with red eyes. The ferocious beasts let out a wail. When it wanted to struggle, the broadsword in its body exerted more force. In the end, the ferocious beasts couldn't bear such a heavy injury and fell to the ground. Asterisk pui. Asterisk Zhou Wu spat out a mouthful of saliva and handed the broadsword to his men. You guys bring the corpse back? After taking a few breaths, Zhou Wu pointed to a dozen members on the left and ordered. The members quickly nodded. After moving the corpse of the ferocious beast to a wooden cart, They turned around and left the forest. Wiping the blood off his face, Zhou Wu walked to Jiang Chun. "Brother Jiang Chun, you should have seen how terrifying this group of ferocious beasts is. Even I, an immortal prime expert, have such a hard time dealing with a heavenly immortal beast, let alone those with a higher cultivation base. As for the Vermilion Bird clan you mentioned, even if they exist, they must be in the deepest part of the forest. With our strength, it's impossible for us to enter. I'm afraid we'll be eaten by stronger ferocious beasts on the way." "Captain Zhou, you're injured." Jiang Chun pointed to the wounds on his chest and arms and said, "This little injury is nothing." Zhou Wu waved his hand indifferently and continued, "You just came in, so you might not have seen such a scene. But you'll get used to it soon. If we encounter ferocious beasts again, you can't just stand aside. You have to help me." "No problem, I'll do it." Jiang Chun nodded and said, "All right, let's take a rest. We'll find a wood attribute immortal beast as soon as possible. As long as we can get it, I promise to give each of you 50 million immortal jades." Zhou Wu spat out another mouthful of blood and said in a low voice, "No problem." Under the stimulation of the immortal jades, these mercenaries agreed excitedly, even though they knew they might die in the forest. What did 50 million immortal jades mean? As long as the news spread, all the cultivators in the mercenary town would be envious. Under Zhou Wu's order, everyone sat down and rested for a while. Chapter 1960. After a while, everyone got up and continued to walk into the depths of the forest. It was not because they were in a hurry, but if they stayed here for too long, the blood chi floating in the air would attract other fierce beasts. This group of people had to go all out when facing a heavenly, immortal fierce beast. If there were 7 or 8 of them, except for Jiang Chun, no one would be able to escape alive. They walked deeper into the forest. Jiang Chun could perceive clearly how many fierce beasts there were in the vicinity, as well as their cultivation levels. "Brother Jiang Chun, have you recovered?" Zhou Wu stretched out his arm that had just been bandaged and waved at Jiang Chun. "I'm still a little shocked. I've never seen such a situation before." Jiang Chun pretended to be ignorant. You're not afraid after seeing so much. But don't leave our Beast Slayer mercenary group because of fear. You'll be discriminated against by all the mercenaries. Even if your cultivation is high, no one will welcome you." While comforting Jiang Chun, Zhou Wu did not forget to warn him. He was afraid that Jiang Chun would be scared out of his wits and have thoughts of leaving this place. "Captain Zhou, don't worry. I won't leave this place." Jiang Chun smiled and said, "That's good. With your cultivation, you'll definitely be able to make a name for yourself in this mercenary town. When the time comes, you can choose any woman here." Hearing Jiang Chun's honest words, Zhou Wu was relieved. "There are women here?" Jiang Chun asked doubtfully. He had lived here for 2 days. Other than the men in the town, he had never seen a woman. "Of course there are. It's just that you're new here and don't know. Brother, think about it. There are thousands of cultivators gathered here. Of course they need to vent." Zhou Wu suddenly revealed a wretched smile and said, "In the town on the far left, there are women gathered there. Usually after we finish our mission, I understand." Jiang Chun hurriedly agreed and interrupted him. "Don't worry, as long as this mission is completed, I will definitely go over there and pick 2 beautiful and clean women for you. Let those mercenaries be envious." Zhou Wu treated Jiang Chun as an inexperienced chick. Of course, he did not say anything that was too excessive. He was afraid that if Jiang Chun was unhappy, he would directly leave this place. "Thank you for your kind intentions, Regiment Commander Zhou." Jiang Chun felt a chill run down his spine, but he still thanked him. Zhou Wu felt relieved after confirming that Jiang Chun had no intention of flinching. With his strength, Jiang Chun, another subordinate in the divine immortal state, and more than 100 baits behind them, even if they ran into fierce beasts of the wood element at the 5th level of the divine immortal state, they would still be defeated. As long as he used his brain, it wouldn't be a problem. However, after walking for nearly half a day, other than encountering some low-level ferocious beasts, they didn't even see a single golden immortal. It was already nighttime. The originally gloomy savage forest became even darker. Everyone was moving in the dark. Since they did not have a strong soul power like Jiang Chun, their sensing ability was greatly limited. They could only sense the situation within a radius of a few hundred meters. This distance seemed to be very long, but in the savage forest where dangers lurked everywhere, it was really not enough. Moreover, if a powerful, fierce beast discovered them, it would be able to charge over from a distance of a few hundred meters in an instant. They would have almost no chance to react. Therefore, when the sky was completely dark, the experienced Zhou Wu immediately asked everyone to sit down and rest. He also directly withdrew all his celestial strength into his body. In this way, even if a powerful, fierce beast passed by, as long as they were not too unlucky, they would not be in danger. After entering the savage forest for hundreds of times, he had only been unlucky once. At that time, all the people he brought in were killed by that ferocious beast, and he, Zhou Wu, was lucky enough to escape. Because of his serious injuries, he had to recuperate for nearly 100 years. However, the mercenary group was originally an organization that licked blood on the tip of the blade. He did not care about a 1% chance. Even if it was a 50% chance, he would still dare to bring people in. In any case, with his strength, he would be able to get out alive. As for the subordinates he lost, he would wait until their injuries were healed before recruiting new ones. In the thousands of years since the establishment of the Beast Slayer mercenary group, they had changed their members no less than 10,000 times. The number of people buried in the savage forest was also in the tens of thousands. Those who died in the forest all became food for the fierce beasts in the end. Brother, let's endure through the night and wait until tomorrow morning to act. Remember, you must not release your celestial strength. That will lead the fierce beasts here. Moreover, if you discover something, you must inform me immediately. You cannot panic. Zhou Wu sat beside Jiang Chun and reminded him in a low voice. I understand, Captain Zhou. Jiang Chun leaned against a black tree trunk and closed his eyes to rest. After casually replying, he continued to think about the sword technique in his mind. You are too enlightened. Seeing that Jiang Chun was so sensible, Zhou Wu was extremely excited. With such an obedient expert, it was simply a huge boost to the strength of the entire mercenary group. After the excitement, Zhou Wu gradually calmed down. The night passed quietly, just like that. When the sky was about to brighten and the darkness in the savage forest was about to recede a little, everyone heaved a heavy sigh of relief in their hearts. They all knew that they had narrowly escaped with their lives again. Get ready to act. After a night of rest, Zhou Wu's injuries were more or less healed. He tore off the cloth on his arm and ordered in a deep voice. But just as his voice fell, he suddenly felt the presence of danger in his spreading perception. Everyone, be alert! Martial God Zhou's expression immediately became vigilant. He took the broadsword from his subordinate's hand and stared intently into the forest. In the place where he was looking, he could vaguely feel the aura of a fierce beast, and gradually, he could also hear the roar of a fierce beast. A fierce beast at the first level of the divine immortal realm, and it seems to be of the fire attribute. Jiang Chun did not look like they were facing a great enemy. That's right. Brother Jiang Chun, it seems that we have to act together. As long as we can kill this thing, I will give you at least 300 million immortal jades. Zhou Wu was a little surprised. He did not expect Jiang Chun's perception to be so much stronger than his. Even after Jiang Chun finished speaking, he could roughly perceive the situation of the fierce beast. It was no different from what Jiang Chun had said. I have cultivated the perception ability before. Seeing the puzzled look in his eyes, Jiang Chun had to explain. Chapter 1961. No wonder. Realization dawned on Zhou Wu. He finally understood why Jiang Chun's perception was so much better than his, even though his cultivation base was much lower than his. After confirming the situation of the beast, Zhou Wu relaxed, but at the same time his nerves tensed up. Relax. This was because the beast was only at the first level of the divine immortal realm. It was not a celestial venerable or a celestial duke. Even if they could kill it, they would have to pay a price. They might even suffer heavy casualties. If that happened, they would not be able to continue staying in the forest. They would have to return to the mercenary town and look for another opportunity. However, if they were delayed for too long, the employer might be unhappy and turn to another mercenary group. At that time, they would lose billions of celestial jades for nothing. Everyone, this is a first level of the divine, immortal realm beast with the fire attribute. With our strength, we can easily kill it. Stay alert. I'll reward anyone who can deal a fatal blow to it with 100 million celestial jades. Also, I'll find a clean woman from the town and give her to you. Zhou Wu ordered in a low voice when he sensed the beast was approaching them. Yes, leader. Initially, they were still a little afraid. However, after hearing Zhou Wu's order, they clenched their fists as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They were ready to die at any time. While they were holding their breaths, the beast appeared in their sight. It was a ferocious beast with a thick mane all over its body that looked like a wild boar. Every strand of its mane flickered with a strange light, as if it was highly poisonous. When Jiangchen saw it, he thought of the thing he saw in the Water Domain Palace. Although the beast in front of them was bigger, it was still too young and nauseating. When they saw the beasts also saw them. All of a sudden, the ferocious beasts rushed over. The dense gray and black trees around them were easily destroyed by it. Even some of the weaker, ferocious beasts nearby fled in fear when they sensed its chi. Brother Jiangchun, this is a divine, immortal realm, ferocious beast. Don't worry too much. Just treat it as an ordinary cultivator. We can only kill it if we join forces. At the same time, we won't let our brothers suffer too many injuries. Zhou Wu swallowed his saliva. His injuries had not completely healed, and there was only a little immortal energy left in his body. Other than relying on Jiangchun, he had no other choice. All right, I'll do it. Jiangchun slowly drew out the wooden sword on his back. This thing might not work. You can use mine first. When we get back to town, I'll get you a suitable weapon. Zhou Wu handed the broadsword in his hand to Jiangchun. At the same time, he stretched out his hand to grab the wooden cart. No need, I'm quite comfortable with this wooden sword. Jiangchun shook his head and declined his good intentions. Seeing Jiangchun insist on using a wooden sword, although Zhou Wu did not understand, there was nothing he could do. He could only hope that this wooden sword might be something special. However, he had lived for so long. A wooden sword, even if wood was rare, was still wood. Just as he was talking to Jiangchun, the beast had already rushed over. Ignoring Jiangchun, Zhou Wu immediately raised the broadsword in his hand and went up to meet the beast. Although he knew that he might be injured, he had to rush forward. He could not show any cowardice in front of his subordinates. If the news spread that a celestial venerable expert was frightened by a first-stage immortal realm beast, he would not be able to stay in Mercenary Town anymore. Jiangchun did not hesitate and rushed forward as well. However, he suppressed his strength a little. With Jiangchun and another celestial venerable expert joining in, Zhou Wu obviously felt more relaxed. Moreover, when he attacked, he also paid attention to Jiangchun. When he saw that Jiangchun was wielding the wooden sword in his hand, he felt more at ease. He knew that his knowledge was shallow. Although it was a wooden sword, it might still have a certain amount of power. Even though the great beast was having a hard time dealing with the three of them, it was able to hold its own due to the fact that it possessed a powerful beastly body and had a poisonous mane. After being forced to retreat by the beast, Zhou Wu saw that its mouth suddenly opened wide. He hurriedly activated the immortal energy in his body to dodge. Whoosh! The moment he moved away, a cloud of black, turbid gas was suddenly spat out from the beast's mouth. The mercenaries who were hiding behind Zhou Wu and thought that they were temporarily safe were directly hit by the black, turbid gas. Those who were stronger were able to dodge it. Those who were weaker were shrouded by the turbid gas. Instantly, screams were heard. The moment the black, turbid gas shrouded them, the group of cultivators felt that their bodies were being corroded. Even if they activated all the immortal energy in their bodies to resist, it was useless. That was close. Zhou Wu, who had dodged the black turbid gas, gasped for a while and sighed with lingering fear. Fortunately, he was standing in front of the other mercenaries. If he was standing in front of his subordinates, he was afraid that just one move would be enough to kill most of his subordinates. However, Zhou Wu did not feel good when he saw the group of people howling so miserably. This group of people was used to attract the wood attribute beast. Now that they had suffered heavy casualties in front of this beast, it was undoubtedly indirectly weakening his strength. Brothers, don't hold back anymore. Let's kill it together. Otherwise, more of our brothers will be injured and may even attract other beasts. When that time comes, we will be in real trouble. Taking a deep breath, Zhou Wu gathered most of his immortal energy into the broadsword in his hand. The broadsword, which was originally full of scars, was suddenly filled with immortal energy. He aimed at the beast and swung it down with all his might. The powerful sword chi swept towards the beast. As for the immortal realm cultivator, he also displayed his special skill. The wooden stick in his hand suddenly softened and turned into a stream of light that swept in front of the beast. As he chanted, the wooden stick instantly trapped the beast and temporarily restrained its cultivation. Brother Jiangchen, it has been trapped by me. Quickly attack with me and kill it. Seeing that Jiangchen was still in a daze, Zhou Wu hurriedly shouted, "Okay." Jiangchen shouted in a low voice. After pretending for a while, a color-changing light flashed. He jumped hard and slashed heavily on the back of the beast. Under the two attacks, especially when it was firmly restrained, the beast lost the chance to resist and could only take it head-on. Boom! A violent fluctuation appeared. The beast was hit by this fluctuation and fell to the ground in an instant, unable to stand up again. Okay. After seeing this scene, Zhou Wu instantly relaxed and said loudly, "You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."